It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard. You liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him.
It really boils down to our ability to accept. We don't need pessimism.
What he means by pessimism is resistance. And that's what COINTELPRO was all about, stopping the resistance.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change.
We hide it in plain sight. One of Plato's greatest works was the allegory of the cave. I feel in order to understand the political matrix, we need only to look into this allegory. We first have to open our minds to the possibility everything is not as it seems. That things we've always known to be truth may be lies. For if we can't perceive the lies we've ingested, we can't see the bars on our mental conditioning. For that is how you walk out of the cave and see the political matrix. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Matrix. I am your host, Marcus Young Marcus Cage. Till will be joining us shortly. Got a little bit of running around and stuff to do, but she'll be in here. Oh, goodness, my glasses are dirty. My apologies. We got an interesting show. Of course, you guys know there's a lot of stuff that's been going on, and we will try to hit on all of those different topics. Of course, we know we've had the Diddy trial that's been going on. I'm going to wait a little bit for Teal to get in before we start talking about the Diddy trial. Trump had his so-called Middle East visit or summit where he's been going through all these different Middle East countries. We're going to talk a little bit about that. There's been a prison break that's happened that's kind of been interesting, and that's going to tie into a couple other stories that I want to talk about. So I'm going to wait a little bit later for that. I put Mo Babies, and that's going into some of the conversations that have been going on. You know, the Trump administration has talked about the $5,000. We've talked about some of the trying to outlaw abortion pills, and there's just a lot of things that have been going on. And all of this ties back to a movement that I don't know if everybody's informed on it or heard of it, but the prenatalism movement. Now, even if you haven't heard that term, you definitely know some of the people, Elon Musk, where he talks about, we need to have more children, whether it's talking about J.D. Vance when he's talking about cat ladies and being single and not having kids. And a lot of this conversation ties into something that I wanted to talk about for some time. And I've been just kind of trying to figure the right way to go over this topic. So now, since so many factors have come together, I feel like I might as well just talk about it and then let it flow naturally, and we'll go from there. Dealing with the, some people talk about population control, as in we need to drop the population. Some people talk about that we need to have more children, and I want to go over the numbers so we can see where the people on both sides of this conversation, where they stand, and also to kind of get us to establishing that, okay, some of these people have changed on some of these views and see where we're at. I guess I got that. We got more stories to get into also. Some of the like little news rundown stuff, nothing major stories, but stuff that maybe people haven't necessarily heard about. So we're going to talk about that. But before we get into any of that, take a quick sip. But let's talk to our guests out here. I see Warren is in the building. Chris H is here also. Wow, stream ended by an act of God. Let's see, who else do we have? I see Yonina is in the building also. Game Dot Film is here, and Willie Bragg is in the building. Great to see you all. I don't know what you guys are necessarily talking about in there. Warren, that Carrington event. You guys have to loop me more into that. I guess what did it say? A coronal mass injection grazed the earth yesterday. Auroras seen in Nebraska. IT knocked out my damn show last night. Hopefully it doesn't knock out my show today. But yeah, I did hear something about that, about some of the solar stuff that's going on and solar flares and everything. I could probably go more into it on another stream, some of my thoughts. I see Saul is in the building. What's up, my brother? Nina, you say your comment got erased. Ooh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I know that I didn't do that, and I don't think anybody else did. And if that happened, more than likely that is something going on with YouTube. Maybe a way you worded something. I don't know. As you guys can see, I want to show off one of my new shirts. Sinners. Oh, yeah. Check all the way at the bottom. I don't know. It's a dope shirt. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that I went and saw it again yesterday. Saw it in 70 millimeter IMAX. And if you have the ability to see the movie in 70 millimeters, I definitely recommend it. There's only I think 10 theaters nationwide that go full 70 millimeter IMAX. So if you're fortunate to be near one, then I definitely recommend it. I did a little bit of I filmed some of it going to the theater and going into the theater where it was at. And so I'm putting together a video that is coming. And this third time around, and also seeing in the 70 millimeter, you definitely, and for people who still haven't seen it yet, this is like non-spoiler things that I can say. There's a difference with 70 millimeter. The whole film is not in 70 millimeter, but there are certain scenes where it goes into the full 70 millimeter. And when it does, it gives you more of an intimate feel with the movie. You feel like really more engaged. Some of the scenes which you even know are coming that might make you jump a little bit more because of how, it's so much bigger and I don't know, I'm having a hard time describing it, but it's a lot more vivid, certain things you see. Also, with it being bigger, there are little nuances that you might not have noticed that you're able to see. For instance, that part when they're in the town and you see the buildings, you can see more of the writing on some of the buildings, prices, things like that, that it takes you more into that time period and stuff. So I definitely recommend that. And I look forward to whatever projects that they have coming after that. So it says Michael B. Jordan and my brother Saul Williams. I was all in. Yeah, it was definitely impressive. And each time I see it, I pick a little bit more from it. I'm just hoping that there will be more film projects like that will come out. Not even necessarily even in that same genre or whatever. It's just that we'll start just getting better quality of movies coming out. And granted, we all know that there is often a message that's tied to it. Maybe it's a message coming from that director in particular. Maybe it's a message being put in from Hollywood. Maybe it's a message coming in from somebody who has some kind of political leanings to one side or the other. So that's not, I feel like that should always be taken in, and you should do your analysis in that way. So you're seeing which, when I have an interview, well, not necessarily an interview, it's going to be a conversation. Game.film, we'll have him on next week if everything works out to plan. And we're going to talk about movies and propaganda and some of those different things like that. And some of my favorite movies. So if you guys are interested in that, it'll be probably on Saturday night. So we're able to separate that off into its own segment. And then we'll hop on for our Sunday show. But definitely looking forward to that, because outside of this, if like say if we were in like more of a perfect world and we didn't have as much crazy chaotic stuff going on, I would probably spend a lot more of my time talking movies and working on projects and stuff like that, dealing with entertainment, because that's more where my passion is more than anything. But you got to have that separation and break away from all the crazy chaotic stuff that goes on in the world. So that's just a little bit of my thoughts before we get going. Said in the KK, they walked into the hood and they in their garb and didn't make it out of Atlanta. Huh, interesting. Well, good to hear that. They don't need to be walking around anyway and trying to inflame things. That is something that reminds me that you brought up the 3Ks. Something that I do plan to talk about a little bit later. This phrase that's been going around about black fatigue. And it just, I guess I kind of want to bring it up from a different angle than I've seen some of the other people commenting on it. Now, I can't say that what I might say might be, it might not be echoing something that you may have heard from somebody else, because one thing it bothers me so much whenever I hear people say, I'm the only person talking about this. So I wanted to put the disclaimer. I'm not going to say that whatever I say, I'm the only person saying it, because I don't know what everybody out there is saying. I just know that I want to bring up a perspective which I haven't personally been hearing from people when they talk about this black fatigue stuff. So definitely want to go into it. Yeah, I agree. Watched it twice. Loved all of the great acting, great costumes. Like, oh, that was another thing which I noticed with the costume designs. I was able to see more colors and stuff. Like, for instance, how Smoke's pinstripe suit actually was not just a black and white pinstripe suit. It actually had hints of red all through the suit also. So the hat was matching with the shirt, matching with the pinstripes. I mean, they took a lot of detail into the costume and set design. And the more and more I hear about stuff, I don't know. I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna get back into talking about this movie, and we got other stuff that we're gonna get into. And I don't want to make this show too super long because I gotta take my butt to the gym after this. So that said, let's go ahead and get into our first story. This one is I know something that maybe some of you guys might not have heard much about this, but of course this is something I've been following, being a Chiefs fan. And there's actually a documentary, I believe, about this guy out too. It's kind of crazy. But Chiefs superfan, Chiefsaholic, sentenced to 32 years in Oklahoma prison. So it says a Kansas City Chiefs fan superfan known as Chiefsaholics was sentenced Monday in an Oklahoma courtroom to serve 32 years in state prison for robbing a Tulsa area bank, a sentence that will be carried out after he finished serving time in federal prison. Xavier Bubadar, 30, appeared in court in a Tulsa courtroom and apologized to the court and to the victims of the December 2022 robbery of the Tulsa Teachers Credit Union in Bixby, Oklahoma, said Bobadur's attorney, J. Michael Schwab. He expressed sincere remorse and took full responsibility for his actions, Schwab said. Bobadur already was serving more than 17 years in federal prison for a string of 11 bank robberies across 7 states where he stole nearly $850,000 to finance his social media stardom. Schwab said the robberies also were the result of a gambling addiction. So yes, Chiefsaholic, the guy who got known as one of the Chiefs super fan, finally, he got convicted before, so he got sentenced to 17 years for the federal side for all of these different, because he was literally like following the team from state to state to state and being at all the games, and that's why they were calling him the super fan, because he would show up, and KC, if you guys don't know, the mascot of the Chiefs is the Wolf, KC Wolf. So he would show up like at all the home games. He was going on all the road games, and people start asking the question like, how is this guy able to make it to all these games? I mean, they're not cheap for one, and he's able to follow the team to all of these games. And then people start looking a little bit more like, who is this guy? Like, what is his background? Does he have a job or career? And we found out what his job or career was. He's a bank robber. So he's robbed over 11 banks and tied with his gambling addiction. So yeah, that was just a little off the wall story that I wanted to bring up. But yeah, Chiefs-aholic. And let me put that on the screen. Talk about that for a little bit. Let's get Political Matrix to 1K and beyond. Yes, that's honestly, there are a lot of people who want to make it huge in YouTube. And I'm not saying that if our channel did really take off and blow up, that I would be against it, because I definitely wouldn't. I would prefer, if I could do this full time. Oh goodness, you guys have no clue how much content that I would be putting out, how many different stories that people don't hear about that I would be talking about, and we would be able to. I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, I don't know. It's just something about, even if we're not able to get monetized, and even if they're just like, this channel's too problematic, I still just want to be able to hit that 1,000. So we're able to hit all the metrics. We have more than enough view count. We have more than enough viewing hours of the show. It would just be good. I don't know, a little, I guess, a Pyrrhic victory to be able to hit that 1,000. It's kind of like a little milestone goal, just to be able to say, hey, we finally did it. We got over that mark. And I know there's other channels which they've gotten there. Especially, I think it would mean more to me hitting that 1,000, because we haven't had to just, like, a lot of other channels are just following the algorithm and they're just doing whatever they know is going to keep within the cycle. And we try to focus mostly on stories that we care about. I mean, and I'm seeking from this every person who's been on this show, whether they've been a guest host, or whether they're a previous host. We've always tried to bring stories that we felt that were important, or at least we had a different take on it to bring. So you guys are not watching a bunch of regurgitated conversations over and over. So yeah, that's just, it would be cool to be able to get there without feeling like we had to take shortcuts to get there. Yeah, Willie is close also. Definitely help Willie out. I think Willie is probably about 100 behind us, if I'm not correct. Please correct us, but yeah, he should be there. Yes, I got the center shirt. Oh, you didn't see it. I guess I'll stand up. That way you can get the full effect of the shirt. And if you notice the top part, it got stack on this side, smoke on that side. But yeah, and I definitely wore it to the movies yesterday. It was great. It says I can read people, and Marcus is talking from heart. Thank you. John is in the building. What's up, John? It's always good to see you, man. I tell you, I really do enjoy the conversations we have on this channel, and I do feel like we have like a little small community. One of these days, I would love to have some meetup. It all depends on which city, because I know you guys are all over different places. And if I'm ever in your city, and because I always mention when I am going to do some traveling, if you guys would just like to meet up and be like, yo, Marcus, let's go have a beer somewhere or something, or let's go grab coffee, ice cream, whatever. I would love to meet up with all of y'all. But yeah, that's kind of where my mind is on that. Let me see what else I got, so I can go on ahead and keep this show running and get into the next subject. Don't know exactly what time till we get here, but we still got the show must go on. So which one did I want to get into? I guess I'll get into, let me click this video. So apologies if it starts to play before. we get there. So I will pause this and then get the screen shared. Oh, I guess it's, there we go. I can pause it. So now let me share it with you all. Boom. Share. And is the volume up on this? Okay. Unmute. All right, and let's go.
Is Trump on a corruption tour? That is what more and more people have been asking after seeing things like yesterday, the Syrian leader saying he wants a Trump tower in Damascus, and then today, Trump saying he may take the sanctions off of Syria to give them a fresh start. With Trump also now expected to meet the Syrian leader next week, who's still a designated terrorist by the United States. Meanwhile, Qatar is giving Trump a $400 million luxury jet, and he's going to use it as Air Force One, and then after he leaves office, the plane will be transferred to Trump's presidential library. With Trump defending what many have called a bribe or corruption by saying that he's saving the country money. But as was mentioned, he's going to use it when he's no longer president, so seemingly not really. I mean, we've even seen some Trump allies and MAGA influencers calling it a bad look. Meanwhile, you've got folks pointing their finger at Pam Bondi, who approved this because she was a registered foreign agent for Qatar who made more than $100,000 a month lobbying for them. And then on top of that, Qatar's state-owned investment company reached an agreement to develop a brand new Trump golf club in the country, with Trump set to go there next week, and the Qataris expected to announce $200 to $300 billion in deals and investments. Also, Trump's crypto firm, World Liberty Financial, has a stablecoin named USD1, and what do you know, an Emirati state-owned investment firm bought $2 billion worth of it. And this, as a new report has found that the Trump family's net worth has increased by $2.9 billion because of his crypto ventures. And all in all, it makes you wonder if Richard Nixon's looking up at all us and going, you thought I was bad. But hey, we're just a few months in, so follow to stay in the loop. Is Trump?
So I wanted to show that because we talked a little bit about it last week. I said, if ever in Fort Lauderdale, Marcus would. Oh, damn, I wish I would have knew that. I was in Fort Lauderdale last year. I will be coming back to Florida again, though. So I'll definitely hit you up when I'm down there. I definitely will do that. Be meeting up with Jose, those who follow, Hebrew Apologetics, which I will get back to doing videos, but those who watched it, familiar with Jose from there, I'll be down there, and I'll let you know before I head down that way. And whenever I get out to Chicago area, which that's definitely on the plan, it's on the list. I'll be heading out there at some point. Don't know when, so don't beat me up about how long it takes me to get out there. What's up, old man Barker? But I wanted to show that video because I made the point last week that the level of Trump's corruption is it's on another level. And I said this in January. I said that basically Chirac will welcome you more. Oh, I know they will. I mean, I'm familiar with Chicago. I used to go there a lot. I had my A school in Great Lakes, so I would come down to Chicago all the time. And plus, back in the day, Vanguard Airlines used to have what was it, round trip? It'd be like $40 round trip to fly from KC to Chicago. So I catch a long weekend, and we fly up there. I mean, it's literally by the time you get, well, I'm dating myself a little here, but I put on a CD, and by the time you get through that CD, it's like 56-minute flight from KC to Chicago. And even in, say you wanted to drive, it's about 6.5 hours from KC. So it's not, it's definitely one of those cities that I used to love to go to. Not in the wintertime, not in the wintertime, but Chicago summer, even though it's hot as hell, I still enjoyed it. Spring is probably the best time to go to Chicago. But I said this about the Trump administration even before this whole trip, that through his cryptocurrency alone, Trump's net worth has increased by 40% in just since inauguration day till now. Think about it. We're talking about a 70-plus-year-old man who has been considered off and on, slipping from a billionaire to not being a billionaire. It depends on how his net worth is calculated. how he managed to, within like, let's see, inauguration has been what, November? Well, not inauguration, but from election day. From election day up to now, it's been about 5 months. And this dude has managed to, actually, no, it's probably been a little longer, probably about 6 months. So in about 6 months, he has increased his net worth by 40%. And I granted, a lot of presidents do increase their net worth typically after they get out of office. There have been people like Clinton, who was before looked at as one of those presidents who was really, really, really legally corrupt, because he increased his net worth while in office. And he probably increased his net worth the most while in office before Trump came along. Trump has just like dismantled that. I know Nixon gets looked at as the most corrupt. That's because he had the whole scandal. But the thing about it is, Nixon, honestly, it wasn't as much hand, cash going to hand now. His vice president, Spiro Agnew, there was a whole lot of corruption there, and that was literal, like, there's a podcast about it called Bagman, where this dude was literally getting bags of cash. So, but Trump is doing it on another level. That's the reason why I think we're seeing so many unusual, weird policies that almost seem like they conflict. And it almost seems like Trump is just literally making the corruption well known and most nakedly open. Yeah, Trump got that he doing way more than Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is probably one of the most corrupt House members of all time. I will definitely say that. Schumer's probably one of the most corrupt in the Senate. Well, there's probably people worse than him in the Senate. I want to say, what was it, Feinstein? She was probably worse. But what they're doing is nothing compared to Trump. And we should have knew this was going to kind of happen if you really paid attention. Like, I get it. The whole Hunter Biden thing was really sensational because of the drug use and all of the crap that he had going on with it. It's tabloid type stuff, and so it catches people's attention. But what was always more jarring to me was the Jared Kushner stuff. We're talking about Hunter Biden and the whole Biden family might have gotten, a couple million here and there. Hey, Sinead, good to see you. We're talking about, okay, let's say at most on the high side, they probably got about 50 million. And this is all of them. This is Hunter Biden. This is, what Biden's sister, Biden's brother, they probably all got about like 50. We can round it up. We'll say 100 million that they got out of money that we know, money under the table, favors, all that stuff. Probably about 100 million. That's bad, right? That's really, really bad. But Kushner got billions. He literally got billions. I mean, if you look at his that property he bought, what was it, 666 Park Place that he bought. He bought that, and people said it was a bad investment at the time. He bought that right before the housing died. And he bought that, it tanked. In order for him to get his money back, that's literally what he did. He went around to all these same, Arab Gulf leaders and basically had out in hand, begging for money. But in fact, instead of just begging for money, what he did was he actually strong-armed it. It's like, yo, I really need this loan. I need help. I need loan as in I'm not going to pay this back. But if you don't, things can happen to your country if you don't help me out. And Trump is just doing this if you ever wanted to see what would happen if you got a mobster in office as president, you're seeing it now. This is literally like having a dumb version of The Godfather as president. It's literally, how much money can I take in? How much money can I appropriate for myself? And I get it. The Democrats suck. They're horrible. I get that. The Republicans are horrible. I get that too. But Trump, for those people who the first term we all called, we all kind of mocked them, y'all, your Trump derangement syndrome. These people are actually looking a lot more right now. These people are actually looking a lot more credible because they were like, no, what he represents is something different. I get the problems with the Democrats. I get the problems with the Republicans, but he's something different. This is something new that's coming. And we could look at like we've always known all politicians are corrupt. They're all crooked. They're all self-dealing. But this man has no shame about it, no embarrassment. I mean, so for me, it's mind-boggling, and I'm wondering, we're only what 4 or 5 months in right now. Can y'all imagine what this is gonna be like after a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of this? If his health holds up and he survives. Can y'all imagine? I mean, I think because there's so much crap that's going on, that it's hard to kind of keep track of everything that's going on with the Trump administration. Like the level of corruption it's like comparing somebody who's shoplifting to somebody who robs an armored truck. It's like there's no comparison at all politically to where he is. This is like comparing, LeBron James to the best JV player that you've ever seen. Not the best in the country, the best that you've seen. So it's getting crazy. The dumb father. I like that. I like that Donald Trump is a dummy version of the Godfather. Yeah. Yes, definitely. The masks are off. Says, and by the way, hello, Chamonique. Says, are you going to talk about the Afrikaner refugees? Jason Black and had some very toothless analysis. That's funny. You know what? I'm going to start your comment here because I am going to talk about that, but I'm going to talk about that in concert with a couple of other issues. The segment that I have titled as Mo Babies, because this is all tied into something that's going on that I feel that we're not paying a lot of attention to. I might start, I'll figure out when I want to go into this, but there's a couple of articles that I do want to read first to kind of start tying all these things together, because it also ties to a weird contradiction which I see with the right in general. It's all right to believe one thing, but if this other thing over here is in conflict with it, you got to resolve this conflict in the middle to hold up this one thing over here. You can't ask for this. I mean, you can't be begging for the sun out all the time and then complain when you don't have enough rain and droughts are caused. You get what I'm saying? There has to be a balance somewhere to make these things work. And I noticed a lot of the people on the right, this sense of balance and very cognitive dissonance, which I'm seeing, it's been staggering to me for a long time, but I think that it's getting worse and worse and worse. So it's interesting. It is true all this has been happening since the 1940s. Exactly. Those chunky Europas. I almost forgot about that along with the plantation burning down. I'm going to bring that up too with the whole topic that I'll bring up. It says, I am on board for United Africa. Exactly. See, they heard the Pope declare the Ethiopian Bible. Wait till it sinks in. That I did not know about the Ethiopian Bible. Well, you know, a lot of the people on the right don't look at him as a real pope anyway, because they believe, oh, well, he has some color somewhere in his background, so we can't take him seriously as a real pope. Or some of them are calling him literally the Black Pope. Let's see. Let's pull this article up. So I guess I've been trying to hold off until Teal hopped in here, but I don't know. I might have to just go on ahead because I think there's a whole lot that I can encompass with this story that I want to talk about. And we'll go from there. So, Bible is more correct than the Anglo one. Well, the only real difference between the Ethiopian Bible is it has a couple of extra books in it. Actually, technically, from the Catholic Bible, it technically only has like one extra book. The Catholic Bible actually has extra books. Well, I don't want to say extra books. It has the full 80 books. It just doesn't go into them. It only reads from basically the 66 books that the rest of Christianity does. And therein lies the rub. They have the books, they just don't recognize the books. Meaning, you will never hear a scripture of them talking about the book of Esdras, or you'll never hear them reading a book from the book of Bel and the Dragon. You'll never hear them reading from, I'm trying to remember, what is it? I'm blanking on the books right now. Ecclesiasticus. You'll hear them reading from Ecclesiastes, but not Ecclesiasticus. It's a different book. You'll never hear them reading from, did I say the book of Esdras? That's all I'm saying. There's more stuff that you just will never hear that. Well, the Maccabees falls into wait a minute, is that a book? Yeah. You let's see. Yeah, there's just books that you won't hear them reading. Now the book of Adam and Eve, that is a separate so-called apocryphal book. Let's see. Let me find it. Oh shoot. Crap. I knew I forgot something. Bear with me because I forgot to plug my laptop in, so hopefully I can get to it before it dies. Yeah, Book of Enoch is actually not in the Ethiopian Bible. It's one of those loose apocryphal books, just like the Book of Jasher. Yeah, the Book of Jasher is a separate apocryphal book. That's what I was going to pull up. The actual, so I'll say all of the actual books. Books in order. And so, yes, the Bible literally calls these deuterocanonical books, which deuterocanonical means secondary canon, and secondary canon means that they see these books as canonical, like these are legitimate books. They just don't believe that these books are profitable for salvation in the words of the Catholic Church. That's their viewpoint. I would tend to disagree with them, but so books like First Esdras, Second Esdras, Tobit, Judith, additions to Esther, Wisdom of Solomon, Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, Baruch, Letter of Jeremiah, Prayer of wait a minute, Baruch is in the regular one. Prayer of Azariah. I don't believe the Prayer of Azariah is in there. But anyway, Susanna, Bel and the Dragon, Prayer of Manasseh, First book of Maccabees, second book of Maccabees. Those are the ones which are not in there. It's 14 books that are not in most Christian Bibles. So most of the King James Bible is drawn from African Egyptian, older than Egypt. I would tend to, that's a whole different conversation. We're not going to go down that road today. We're not going down that road. Are the places where Jasher is mentioned? Yeah. We said, you were putting Joshua 10 and 13 and 2 Samuel 1 and 18 is where the book of Joshua mentioned. Yeah, the reason why they don't accept the book of Jasher is because the only manuscripts they were able to find was like only a very, very little. So they only had like a couple of paragraphs. And so many believe like the actual book of Jasher that has been floating around is a fake. And this is just getting into actual textual criticism within studying how, like, this is regardless of if you believe in the Bible or not, how they view these books as far as, you know, being taken as legitimate or not taken as legitimate. And they look at some of this as writing styles. Like I've even seen in the book of Jasher how the way they name some of the towns and cities were towns and cities that did not exist at the time the book of Jasher would have been written, which is a dead sign that that's not correct. It's like you can't put in, you know, that, oh, well, these people were going through the area of Compton when Compton was a city that was not around in that time. They could have been going through this land, but that land did not have that name. That's all I'm saying. Have you heard of the Colburn Bible? No, I am not familiar. They can send that to me. Yeah, I once it starts getting into these different books where there's no kind of manuscripts that even go back, you know, a couple thousand years or 1,000 years, I tend to not pay too much attention. But let me get back on topic. I said I was going to save the prison break for Till. I said I'll save Diddy for Till. I guess I'll go on ahead and get in and start talking about the babies and the fertility and stuff like that. So, and this ties to, check my Moore's life, the children of burning light. I'll look into that stuff. I hear you, Saul. We need to have a conversation. I think it'd be a fun conversation. But I definitely agree with you, Saul. Oh, I also don't believe that. I believe that because the Renaissance decided to paint the images a certain way does not mean that is foretelling of what even the Bible says about those. You can even look into scripture and it gives different it gives the different descriptions of various people and various things, including the heavens above and heaven and God and all that. So that's a whole different conversation. Bible does have its certain level of so-called science fiction. I just think that life in general has some of it. It's just people try to, maybe it doesn't happen. Certain things might happen in your life that would be considered science fiction, but you may have like rationalized that no, that was something else that happened. That didn't really happen that way, or maybe I was just tripping, and so you kind of like push it out of your head. But I think we all there's a lot that's unexplained within our realities and world. So I want to start with this one story. Actually, let me find his name first. Natalist, because I'm really careful. It's an article that I don't know. Maybe what I'll do is I might put it into the chat. But there is a book there's a book that went around and it started talking about population. And the book about population that went on kickstarted a bunch of different things. And so I guess I'll start with this article first. And so it says rapid fertility decline is an existential crisis. This is written, let's see, by Jesus Hernandez Villaverde, the American Enterprise. Humanity has entered a new era of rapid population decline. Globally, the total fertility rate is likely already below the replacement that is. Below the level needed to sustain the population in the long run, approximately 2.18 children per woman in the US. It's around 1.6 without immigration. Our population would have already began to decline if we were able to address our fertility crisis, or unable to address our fertility crisis. The U.S. will face an existential economic crisis driven by a steep decline in fertility rates, one that could have an impact measured in the quadrillions of dollars. So that's the reason why it's a focus and it matters in the first place. Being below replacement level does not mean global populations will immediately stagnate. Due to a phenomenon known as a population momentum, growth will continue for approximately 30 more years. Current world births are temporarily high because large cohorts of women born in the late 1990s and early 2000s are now having children while their parents are still alive. However, all of today's global population growth is solely a result of this momentum. Few countries remain above replacement, except for those in sub-Saharan Africa and Central Asia. Furthermore, fertility rates are declining more significantly and, importantly, at a faster pace than anyone anticipated a few years ago. This trend is evident in both wealthy and poor nations, in religious and secular states, in countries with right-wing governments as well as those with left-wing governments, and in nations with free abortion access and those with restrictive abortion laws. Pick any country at random from a world map, and the chances are high that its fertility rate is falling rapidly. In the Americas, from Alaska to Tierra del Fuego, only Haiti, Honduras, Bolivia, Paraguay, and a handful of small Caribbean nations are on pace to exceed replacement levels in 2025, and only slightly. The region's demographic giants, the US, Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, and Canada, are already significantly below replacement. Notably, as of early 2025, the US has higher fertility rates than Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, and Canada. So that's part of it. So let me hop back over to you guys to see what you guys are saying about this. That's part of it, Chris H. I'll put that on the screen. I'm not going to say that. Oh, shout out to Decipher. Good to see you in here. I like the name. That's catchy. Onina says, Yonina fascinating. Yeah, Yonina knows a whole lot about that, Warren. Actually, you know what, Warren? You should probably have Yonina on the show sometime to ask her some of those questions about that, because she can definitely, she has a lot of information. Chris H says it's the damn serum, which that's possible, but this is something that's been going on before this time period. A lot of people kind of go into the whole movement of depopulation. And that was something that was being pushed for a while, which honestly, it still is to a degree, because you have contradicting forces that are going on at the same time. We talked about one of those, Bill Gates, which I believe Bill Gates and people like him are still in the camp of our population needs to be lower and controlled. And specifically where his focus has been in Latin America, it's been in Africa, and it's been in Asia. That's been the focus of people who are on, and I'll just say, for intensive purposes, let's just say the Bill Gates camp. They're worried about our population is too high, rising. How I translate that, and just me, you guys can criticize me and say, you know what, I think you're leading on to that. You're reading too much wrong. Maybe you guys might agree, maybe not. But how I view it from the Bill Gates side of the fence is they see the populations of people of European ancestry declining, whether that is in Europe, whether that's in America, whether that's in Canada, whether that's in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, any of these places which have a predominantly descendants of European ancestry. Those have been declining overall. And some of the places like Africa have Africa and certain parts of Latin America have kind of stayed kind of flat to a degree and kind of pushing along. Some are a little bit behind, and it's a mixed bag. In Africa, the population has continued to just grow for the most part. And if you have all of these other nations growing, there's a fear from people who are in the Western powers that they will lose their stranglehold over these subjugated nations. And eventually, I think it kind of goes into a guilty conscience that's been passed down through generations, where your ancestors have done negative crap. You've never had to deal with it. And your conscience kind of eats at you that consequences, it's going to come at some point. And I think that guilty conscience that some of these people have has to do with the fact of, for the last, say, 600 years, and this is to those people who have the supremacist ideas that think, oh, well, we're the greatest thing since Bryce Red. No, you've been on power for the last 600 years. Even if you go to a New Earth Christian, they believe the Bible has been around at least 6,000 years. So that means that's 5,400 years where you were not in power. You've only had the power for a short amount of time. So simmer down, buddy. But for those who believe it's even longer, let's say, different forms of Christianity who might believe that actually we believe it's around 13,000 or more. And then if you go to the people who believe that human societies go back even further than that into, they say maybe the planet might have been around for 1 billion years, but people have been around for, say, I don't know how long they say goes back to the first humans, according to secular ideology. But I would imagine that they would say that through evolution, the evolutionary first humans had to be probably 20,000, 30,000, 40, 50,000 years old. That said, there's a very, very, very small window that the European Americans have actually had the power control. So this belief system of we're the dominant and the world would be crap without us, which I've heard some of these supremacists say, it's a moot point because different regions have had their time at the top of the hegemonic hill. And when those other nations were in their form of poverty or whatever, they were looked down upon from those other nations. So it's something that, I don't know, when you get a certain level of power, that gets into people's psyche to start believing that, you know what, my parents and my parents' parents and my ancestors put me on top, and it's because we are just better than you. We are just smarter than you. Not understanding that you're living off of a success off of somebody else. And it's the same as somebody who you're born on third base and you got Mark McGwire coming up to bat next. There's a lot of inertia that's put into helping you score that you don't give credit for. And you just take all the credit narcissistically to your status in the world. Sorry. Let's see. Yeah, they're worried about losing Africa. So it says, question, Marcus, what is your faith? I have none. I am a human and respect all life. I respect all life, but I would consider myself a Hebrew Israelite by nationality and by ethnic decree and by faith. Um, yeah. Well, well, that's the thing. John says here. Let me put this on the screen. Says, didn't some black guy's DNA just go back to 2,000 years? I just don't trust DNA companies. I've seen people. I've seen some of these DNA companies do DNA on a dog, and they like, oh, this person is from Ireland or whatever. It's like this isn't even human DNA. I think that there's a certain amount of bullshit that goes on with a lot of these scientists. They're talking about, oh, well, I can tell by the rings of this tree that this tree is over 70,000 years old or some crap, and it's like, no, it's not. This tree is 200 years old. We know because this is when it was planted. Here's a record on it. So I don't trust a lot of these scientists on what they're saying on numbers in general. And a lot of the oldest human remains that we find don't go even the just the human remains that they date don't even go back that far. So when you start saying things have been around for this amount of time, I find it hard to really take a lot of that serious. In fact, let me find oldest human remains and let's see what it tells us. Because I don't even believe, according to science, that they even date the oldest person back that far. Oh well, no, I'm wrong. They say Omo I or Omo 1 remains in Ethiopia, which are estimated to be 230 years old. And then German bones to 45,000 years old. So even if they're saying that the planet goes back to millions and millions of years, the oldest specimens that they're talking about are 230 years. So out of this, in the grand scheme of things, let's say we were here 230 years ago. The power structure who's been in power have only had it for 600 of that. Just to put into context of how people view power and control and intelligence and all that, because a lot of them view it on which societies had success on this and which societies appear to not have success, not factoring in the destruction of some of those societies also, and destruction of sciences and knowledges and histories that have been accrued over time. Because when you look at the conquests that happened from many other nations, whether that was the Vikings going in, whether that was the Saxons, the Romans, the Greeks, the let's see who else, or you can go into like the Nabateans or any of these people who go back even further than that, the Persians, the Medes. You look at that, you look at Axum Empire, and you look at many of these different empires, and a lot of their societies, libraries, and things were destroyed. You don't know the level of what they were. I mean, a lot of ancient Egypt is preserved. I'd say major chunks are preserved, and there's still a whole lot of indecision on what exactly were all of the things that they accomplished and didn't accomplish. There's still stuff that people are trying to figure out today. So trying to figure out the capability or level of a society which has been decimated, I think it makes it hard to be able to ascertain that information. Sorry, it's a little sparkling water. So breaking. Oh, what's up, Cat 83? Says breaking. Biden has aggressive form of prostate cancer. Ooh, damn, that sucks. That definitely sucks. I mean, I'm not a fan of Biden, and I just don't. I don't like to wish any kind of malice necessarily on, especially people who are mentally disabled. even though he did cause a lot of, well, I look at it like this. I don't wish it on them, but at the same time, I'm not sitting here boohooing crying for how much misery that this man has caused on other people's lives. And there's been quite a bit. If you look at a lot of the different things that have been negative for the Black community in particular, it was done by President Joe Biden. And, well, a lot of times it was done while he was Senator Biden, but you guys get what I'm saying. Let's see. Africa has been the birthplace. Well, it's funny you say that, Saul, because this is getting to, even from a religious lens, this is seen this way, but from a scientific lens. I remember this one scientist in China was trying to prove that China is the oldest civilization, and China predates everything, and everything branches from China. And he had to acknowledge through his own research that every Chinese citizen had ancestry that comes from Africa. And I would say you can definitely see that when you look at certain groups like the Khoisan people. You can definitely see there's some kind of connection there. And even if you look at their language is very similar. The way the guttural tones, the way they speak and pronounce things is very similar to Japanese. So it's just interesting. Let's see. Marcus, yesterday a white supremacist called in the Jason Black show, and he said some, and he said some horrible things to Jason, but he handled it well, better than I would have. Oh, I look at it like this. In this society, if you're a Black man over a certain age, you dealt with some horrific crap or read some horrific crap. And if you were in the public or pseudo public eye at this point and you don't know how to deal with it, you should not be in the public eye, because people are going to use that. That's the reason why, like, I'm gonna start calling Twitter, I'm gonna call it X-Chan, because it seems like all of the bottom rungs and scum of like the 4chans and stuff, and all the KKKs and skinheads and just piece of crap people. That Elon Musk has just put up like the 24-hour sign that's just flashing and brought all of the just horrible people on there. And it's like, I don't enjoy even getting on this site. I go every two comments and it's going to be some racist asshole on there. Great comments. Just trying to see. Lania is in the building. What's up? He has cancer on the world. Yeah, he has been a cancer on the world for decades. Karma. I mean, you can't go against it. Chris H says, agreed. I see so much racism on Twitter now. Elon has racists defending the South Africans coming to the U.S. Therein, the South Africans is something that I see, like, let me just drop this down for a minute. The whole South African thing is something that I'm not surprised about, because when you have this, when you're a racist, let's just call it plain and simple. When you're a racist, you don't necessarily have to hate the other side. When you're so much on your people and your people alone, you can't sympathize with other people. But anything happens to your people and you are ready to burn the whole world down for it. And that's how Elon is. Elon sees any kind of white suffering to white South Africans that he cares about. It doesn't matter the horrific treatment of Black South Africans or the coloreds or anybody else. He only sees his people. He only cares about his people. That's the dangers of a lot of these people like an Elon Musk. He only cares about his people. Don't give a damn if everybody else in South Africa just dies of starvation tomorrow. He does not care. That's the same issue you have with Israel-Palestine. These people care so much about their people, but have no lack of respect or care for human life on the other side. It's literal no sympathy. And I don't know, I see that in certain groups of people, not all of them, but in certain groups, I'll just say it, of European descent, they can see trauma and horrific things when it happens to people who look like them. But when it happens to people who don't look like them, they can't see it. They make excuses for it. They cover, and that's because of their racist core. And some of them actually are to the level where they do hate other people. Where but some of them are to the point where it's just like, I care about my people. I don't care about your people. Now we do have that throughout other groups. I'm not going to say it's exclusively a problem within the white demographic. But the reason why it's so pungent and it's more detrimental is because right now in the world, white people have the power. And so while they feel that way, and it's pervasive throughout white community, I'm not saying it's every person, but let's say, for instance, it's 30%, and I think it's higher than that. Let's say it's 30%, and they have the wealth and they have the power. Then they enact what they want to do. They enact policies that harm others and the like. But let's see. When you're racist, equality feels like oppression. Speak on it. Speak on it. It's one of the biggest facts ever. Says Elon is a fraud who never invented anything. I think he's not only though I think he's a fraud, I think he's an idiot. I really do think he's an idiotic person. I made the comparison. I was talking to a friend of mine at the gym the other day, and even the Peter Thiels, people like that. People think, oh well, they're smart. They become a billionaire, this and that. If I let you play a video game, and you have 75 lives instead of 3 lives like you would have in like arcade video games, then you're going to get a whole lot farther in the game because you can just keep dying and coming back 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 and advancing. Whereas other people don't have those opportunities. If I or most of you guys decide we're going to save up some money to start some business venture and it fails, we don't get a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a 35th, a 1,000th chance. We don't get chances over and over and over. That's the reason why I don't give credit to people like Elon Musk. You guys know how many times that they've blown money on things and have screwed up things massively, but just they have so much money, it gives them a get out of jail free card. They can just invest in something else and invest in something else, invest in something else. So let's say if you start off with $100 million, you invest $2 million in this, boom. You invest another $2 million in that, it fails. Another $2 million in that, and invest another $2 million and another $2 million. Now you've dropped $10 million in five failed investments. But on the 11th try, you drop $2 million, and it hits for $100 million. That $10 million that you lost means nothing because now you're up to 190. That's how it works with these people. You know, they have plenty of opportunities where they put a couple million down, doesn't work out, and the payoff for them ends up being, you know, $500 million. That's the story of America's billionaires. They have enough money that when they put down just 2% of their net worth, 1% of their net worth, us, we would have to put down majority of our net worth. And if we fail, we're done. Now, it gives a more of a testament to the people who do come from, you know, situations like ours at the level we do and make it to the top, especially without any fuckery. But that's not the normal. And anybody, you see these people on TV, you could be like me, man. No, everybody can't be like you. And don't even lie to people and make them think that. Not only does it come with skill, research, it also has a certain degree of luck, timing, proximity, networking. There's a whole lot of factors that go into this, and people always try to downplay their success as if I just did this and you can do it too. That's BS. Everybody can't train to be a Hall of Famer, and go to the NFL Hall of Fame. Everybody's not gonna make it there. Some people are gonna spend their whole career on the practice squad. Some people are gonna blow out that knee and never get the opportunity. Evil is all of us. The ones that care for all are seen as evil or terrorists if you follow a religion or politics that values material gain. Yeah, we should never value material gain. It's like Kim Kardashian or Beyonce saying, I just woke up like this. Exactly. You woke up with a whole lot of surgery, a camera crew putting makeup on it. Yeah, it's all BS. And I see Chuck's Intergalactic UFO show is here. It says racism is dumb and non-productive. Humans need to get their shizzle together and save their planet from intergalactic incursion. Yes. And sometimes that intergalactic incursion is somebody like Elon Musk. That's what I think. But here, let me get back to the article. Let's see what's about. Oh, that's interesting. Let me do it that way. So it says in Asia, countries like China, India, Japan, Vietnam, Thailand, Turkey, Iran, and South Korea are among many others, are all significantly below replacement levels. In China, Japan, and South Korea, and Thailand, deaths currently outnumber births. These countries have exhausted their momentum, resulting in population decline. At the present rate, China could lose as many as 600 million inhabitants by the end of the century. And one thing that's interesting about China's population decline, when they came out with the one child rule, a lot of parents would try to find out what was the sex of their child before they have it. Many of them, if they had a daughter, they would abort, because they only were trying to have a male to keep their seed line going. Well, what happened with that is the people who end up just having daughters. A lot of these daughters decided that once the whole feminism movement kind of circled around the world, they decided, I don't want to just be a homemaker. I don't want to be your helpmate. I want to go out there and follow the career I want to. I want to have dreams. I want to have goals. And in that push, many women sacrificed marriage, children, things like that. Some went out and they were still able to manage career and children and all that. But many of women decided to, forego having children or push it to a later date. And by pushing to a later date, many of them just didn't have kids. And that's starting to become a huge issue in China, because a lot of these women now are at a certain age where they may not be able to have children, or and also now you have a mismatch right now in their society, because you have a lot more women than men too. And since it's more of a monogamous society, and they don't believe in something like polygyny, where one man, multiple women, where that could help reduce their society and build it up. If you have a couple of men out there who are very fertile, you have a population collapse. And that's honestly the same thing which has been going on definitely with China, and that's been going on with Russia, two of the largest superpowers, in two places which have moderate to very large populations. I think Russia is somewhere around 400 million, a little bit bigger than the United States, but but for the size of the country, that's not very big. I've even heard reports, which I don't know how much to believe into them. I do know that there's some true that China, the CCP, is not being honest about their population, that their population is smaller than the 1.4 billion that they say. But on the other hand, I don't know if it's as small as some people I heard. It's one channel. I watched it just because I was like, okay, that's interesting. Let me hear more. And the woman was saying that China's population is possibly as low, anywhere from 300 million to around 600, 700 million. I don't buy that. I mean, because this woman was saying that the pandemic, that they were losing, like, I think she said, like, the pandemic, they ended up losing basically like 50% of their population during the pandemic, which I have a hard time believing that you could lose 50% of China's population and nobody notice. Granted, they did have a whole lot of crazy stuff going on over there. They were burying people mass graves, and granted, China was the site of the initial breakout, so I can get that their numbers would be higher. But for something that impacted the rest of the world, let me see this first before I let me make sure I get an exact number before I say this out loud, because I don't want it coming after me. Let's see, code C9. You guys know what I'm talking about. The plague. Worldwide by percentage. By percent. And it says the amount of people worldwide in 2022 was 2.4%. In initial phases, it was 2.4%. Decline in 2022 fell to 0.28%. 2023 fell to 0.9% worldwide. So this woman was saying that the population in China dropped 50% because of the plague. Now, I think that that's absolutely bonkers. Which made me honestly start having it was very difficult for me to take this woman more credible. She seems like the type of person who is a Chinese citizen, or maybe Chinese descent. I'm not sure if she's citizen or former citizen or where she lives or not, who really just doesn't like China. Let me throw a shout out here. Says BTS Trapped Out TV. What's up? Good to see you here. Says shout out to the Political Matrix. And chat, new sub. Yes, clap it up. Clap it up. It's good to see a new sub in the building. Says hit that like button. Yes, please. If you guys can hit that like button, no, I don't ever ask you guys for cash, nothing like that. But if you feel it on YouTube, push the message out there, share it with somebody, tell people about the show. Things like that mean the world to me, and I definitely appreciate it. But yeah, if you guys can hit that like button. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed, we do the show once a week, so it's not like you're going to get bombarded with a whole bunch of episodes. Of course, I would do more if I could, and occasionally we'll drop a little bit more here and there. But once a week, just come in and we talk about a bunch of different topics. And of course, I veer off topic quite a bit into other areas. So you guys, what you see just on the thumbnails isn't what you always get. It's not, you get those things, but you get a little bit extra. So definitely swing by and, show some love. But I definitely appreciate it. They took care of the flu better than we did. Yeah, that's the reason why I don't buy what that woman was saying about China's population declining by like 50% in 2 years. It just sounds, and I was glad to see a doctor hop in there and responded to her. He's like, that's like virtually impossible for the population to be as high as it was. She was already trying to decrease the population by saying, well, it's actually, the 1.4 was actually wrong. So the population, they're lying. So it's actually about 800 million, and then start trying to drop it from there. So it's kind of wild how it was saying. Much love from the Austin sector. I'm guessing that's Austin, Texas. Well, much love. I got family out in the Texas area. Not Austin, but let's see. I think he's in Henderson, if you know where Henderson is. Yes, more of that. Yes. Tell him, Liz. Tell him. Thanks, babe. Says, please Please like, subscribe, and share. We'll leave that on the screen for a little while. That way, anybody coming in, they can see that and gives a little friendly reminder. I know sometimes you guys might be watching on TV and it's a pain in the butt to, you know, try to get over to the like. It's not as easy as doing it on your phone. But if you got your phone near you, you can just hop on real quick, go to it on your phone, hit the like real quick, and then hop back out and keep watching on the screen. Or if you're exercising, I get it. It's kind of hard to do that, but I appreciate all you guys for spending the time and swinging by. Let's see, Philly Yard Vibes. I'll keep this one up for a little bit while I read it. Says Russia is landmass and Canada second. 26 million citizens that Russia lost in this world to World War II still affects their present population. It definitely does. Also, the conditions for the country as a whole has affected it. I would also say that other things have affected them too. Whether that's things within the water, whether that is the proximity to some of these nuclear plants and nuclear proliferation. I think all those things kind of have an effect. You might not be sick on the daily like a Chernobyl, but it can, I believe, reduce fertility. And then also just going back into generations of massive inbreeding throughout Europe, I think is definitely affected populations. So see, personally, I find there are a whole lot of oddities about the big sickness beyond the known oddities, definitely. Says Marcus is getting so much closer to being enlightened. I try every day. I promise you I do. That's my goal. So let me hop back into this real quick. It says, Sub-Saharan Africa presents a less clear picture as data quality is poor. Many of the UN's figures are based on estimates. Nevertheless, some signs suggest that fertility is declining there as well. 3 weeks ago, an economist from Ghana told me, nobody in my village is having kids anymore. The plural of antecedent is not data, but his observation aligns with other indicators. I would say also one thing you have to factor in with Africa is you have to factor in certain areas which have some of these conflicts. When you have mass starvation, when you have wars that are going on, and one thing which Europe and some of these other places are not dealing with is they're not dealing with ongoing war in their area. When you have ongoing war, that will drop your population. You know, ask the people who were in the Middle East or for instance, Iraq, who lost over 1 million. Those kind of things will definitely affect your population. But I feel if Africa wasn't dealing with some of these different conditions, which many of them are brought on externally, their population would have no problem with continuing to grow. And I still think that it is growing without some of those different things. I mean, poverty is also an indicator of poverty to a certain degree. Let me clarify. If you have people who are kind of more working poor, some of those people will decide, if I want to be upwardly mobile and try to get myself to a certain level, I have to pick the time for myself to have children. With more people taking that calculus in, instead of the old way of where if it was a farm, you would just have a whole bunch of kids, even if you were poor, because that's more hands that can help the farm. Since more of our society, more of the farming is going on to factory farms, you have less people who are having kids for those types of reasons. And I think that is indicative of some of these factors that you're seeing in some of these countries. As we go into more factory farming, that's also affecting the populations. There's more reasons that I would go in, but and we already know people like Elon Musk. I mean, not Elon Musk, but Bill Gates, which I don't feel like he's doing most of it, but I do feel like he is a contributing factor to some of that. But more or less, I believe it's the way the countries and economies are working are the biggest factor to this. It says, currently the fertility rate in the US is around 1.6 significantly below the replacement of 2.1. Note the global replacement rate of 2.18 is significantly higher, slightly higher than that of other US due to selective abortion of girls in Asia and higher female mortality in Africa. The issue is not new. The US has been below the replacement rate. Sorry, it's a little small for me. So I'm a little struggling with some of this. The US due to selective abortion of girls in Asia and higher female mortality rate in Africa. The issue is not new. The US has been below the replacement rate since 1970, although the recent decline in fertility is unprecedented. In fact, without the influx of immigrants, like yours truly, as the guy says, and their US born children, the US population would likely have started to decline a decade ago. And I think the US in particular, this is because of, well, I would say unregulated capitalism is the biggest reason. People are having a hard enough time just taking care of and fending for themselves. So why would they bring a child into this world? Especially if, I would say, if you're responsible, you would care about, I want to make sure I have enough money to take care of my kid. That just makes sense. Now you have other people who they don't give a damn. They're just out there getting people knocked up, and commend them if they decide to stay in the child's life and take care of them and all that. But just because you raise a kid does not necessarily give you some kind of extra kudos and pats on the back, because many of times, most of you guys who are having these kids did not have them responsibly. I myself is somebody who always wanted kids. I always looked at the finances and do I want to have my kid going through some of the poverty and things that made life tough for me, knowing that it's going to be far tougher for that kid. No, I think about that, and especially it's even worse so now than it would have been, say, 20 years ago or so. So all of those things I feel like have to be factored in. If you have a constantly unstable market going on, you have to factor those things in also. Chris H says, I agree, unregulated capitalism has been the most effective form of keeping the population down. That goes into the pronatalist people, like what you see in the thumbnail. It's this one couple, goofy looking little nerdy people who they've had a whole bunch of kids. And this is one thing which I say is the contradiction with people on the right. They make it as if the reason why people are not having kids is because, or having families and all that, is because there is a degradation in our society of, oh, let's just get kids, let's get pregnant and then abort them. At some time, Till should be, but the moment she hops in, I'll let her know where we're at, and hopefully she can hop in. But yeah, Till is supposed to be joining us. Says, I'm with you there, Marcus. No kids for me either. Yeah, if I had enough money where I was like, you know what, I was doing well. I had my own place. I was able to save money aside and college fund and do all that. I mean, I watched what was it? Some woman say that she's $40,000 in debt after having her kid, and the kid has a $10,000 debt also. So this is a woman who just recently had a kid talking about being $50,000 in debt. I think when people look to these people and it's like, these people just don't want to have no kids and blah 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 blah. I don't think that they're factoring in how things are now. And also, they don't factor in everybody's situation. Let's say you don't have family. Who's going to help you raise this kid? Who's going to help you with daycare? Because daycare and stuff is even more expensive. There's so many costs that are going on now that are not factored in. And some people have, maybe that's a brother or sister, or the grandmother. I mean, you have people who are around who can help and take some of the pressure off. And if you don't have that, then that has to be factored in. If you don't have the family, if your partner, the husband or wife or whoever who's having that child, they don't have the means also, all of these things have to be factored in. And with us going through economic calamity after economic calamity, we have this tariff stuff that's about to start hitting people soon. We had the pandemic, which that affected a lot of people, you know, as far as college and finding work and all that. A little bit before that, you had the housing collapse that you had in 2008. I mean, we're having more and more and more cycles of major downturns that are making it extremely unpredictable for people. Also, you factor in the price of stuff like college, which is skyrocketed. College has skyrocketed. Price of vehicles have skyrocketed. Housing has skyrocketed. Food prices have skyrocketed. And the only thing that has not went up has been wages. So you're expected to do more with less. And even now, some of the fast food places are starting to get hit. And they said that it's all of their demographics, from the lower income to the middle income people to the wealthier people who may go to McDonald's and all that. Many people are starting to say, you know what, fast food, I can't do it. It's become a luxury. I can't afford to go to fast food. And as you start to see more and more and more of this, because these corporations are trying to take more and more and more, you're going to just have an eventual collapse that's going to happen. And as a lot of, yes, I agree. Fast food is poison. But with them not fixing, with them focusing so much on making everything so much more expensive and trying to, they're not catering to their audit. They're not reading the room. I mean, if you think about it, every time they have a price increase, how many times do you ever see that price decrease back down? It never says, you know what? Oh, I know there's been a downturn in the economy, so let's lower things back down. When you don't do that, you're taking money out of pockets of people who could possibly decide to be a homeowner, possibly decide to buy a car, and possibly decide to start a family and have kids. I would also say a lot of things that are going on with feminism too, which I will give the right some credit on some of this stuff. There is something to, you know, more women deciding that, hey, I need to get this and this and this so that I can take care of my kids. And that's the reason why is because they're probably struggling to find those things also. So they got to find a partner who's going to supply those things. And if they're not able to find, you know, that income for themselves or find a partner that's going to do that, it's going to lead to a lot more women, I believe, being single and staying single. And a lot more men just saying, you know what, with these sprinkle women, I need a high value man. I need a man making six figures. He need to have a house and 3 cars and five business ventures. And if he don't have that, I'm not going to pay him no attention. A lot of dudes just be like, you know what, I check out. I ain't even going to try because obviously I can't keep up. And all of those things, this $5,000 is not going to do anything towards changing this. Bringing in these white South Africans to try to boost the white population is not going to do anything, because I can guarantee you what's going to happen. When you bring these people in and they realize, oh, wait a minute, it's not South Africa. This is a whole different country. This country runs differently. We can't talk to Black people or any other demographics the way we did to people when we were over there. We're not going to just be able to have our farmland and have acres and acres and acres. We're going to come over here and probably have to work some menial job to get by, because there's not a whole lot of farm jobs for these people to come in and take. And definitely not at the wealth price. And I don't think that many of these white South African or these Afrikaners coming in understand how expensive America is and how much they're going to need to survive here. I really don't think they get it. That's the reason why I think only 50 came. It's actually makes more sense for them to go back to the countries they came from, whether that be Denmark, Germany, Great Britain, wherever. makes more sense for them to go back to those places because they're going to be giving a easier transition. It says I wear my keffiyeh to test the MFs. You should. I agree. I agree. It's not always about finance. Finance for some people. It says on the road to 7 years of celibacy. I mean, I get it. Everybody has their different reasons. Some people also look at their different belief system. If people believe like, because we do live in a so-called Christian country, who many of those people believe in some form of a rapture or end of days and things like that. Who's gonna want to have kids when they think the whole world is about to go to crap? Little patchy there. At the Political Matrix, there was a man who left his 70-year-old mother in a 5-bedroom house back in South Africa. The celebratory is not humane. I'll let you guys argue about that in the chat. Let's see. What is this? Let's see. Chamonix says, in the U.S., the whites and the Asians are on top, and blacks and Latinos are at the bottom. I'm sick of it, and I might leave to Mexico. And I would throw Native Americans in there, which honestly, the easier term for me, I just say indigenous because I believe all of these people fall into indigenous groups, and that's how I prefer to go at it. And I don't blame you for possibly wanting to leave and head to Mexico. I've told you guys plenty of times that I look at the possibility of moving out of the country because I just look at this country in the direction that it's going is not going in a good place. And so therefore I don't know how to deal with it, and I'm not going to fight against it. It's going to go which way it's going to go, and I don't feel we have very much power in changing the trajectory. But that said, no, so you're not the only one in the room. Well, she is using that. Ooh, don't bring up that kind of stuff. So so we have that going on, and the Elon Musks, and I don't remember what is the name of those people. I kind of really don't want to mention their names because I think they kind of disgust me with. Oh, see, you guys are asking about Teal, and there she is. What up, Teal? Oh shoot, did you pop on the screen? Okay, there she is. So I guess I can drop that one article down. But like I was hearing a lot of people on the right, and basically their perspective is that, oh, that's what I was going to. I wanted to read that so I can lead into the contradictions. Okay, you want to get immigrants out of the country because you have a problem with these illegal immigrants, and you get rid of refugees and all that. And then Trump turns around and brings in these Afrikaners who are refugees because they're under so much violence and everything is so terrible for them. But then you have these pro-natalist people who say we need to have more children. And then but at the same time, they're not trying to push for you to have better wages. They're not trying to push for you to have forgiveness on any debts or anything like that, which they're not trying to work towards a system that can make it cheaper for you to have children. They're just saying have more babies. So at the same time, they're not trying to do anything that would financially incentivize anybody to decide, you know what, now is a good time for me to have kids. Oh, I guess you had to try again. Let's see. Hello, Till, you there? So, oh yeah, back to what I was saying. So they don't want to do anything as far as any kind of programs for like, okay, let's help with childcare. Not trying to help with childcare, right? You're not trying to lower some of these medical costs that happen at the hospital. You're not trying to give out any kind of insurance. You're in every way, there's no relief that is coming to somebody who decides that they want to have children. There's no wage increases, nothing. It's just go out there and have kids. It's just like a lot of these people on the right with immigration. You want the so-called undocumented out of the country. You want them out. You want them gone. But you don't want to pay higher wages for Americans to do that work. So what do you want here? You can't. I'm trying to understand this. You don't want to pay people more money, which you're going to need to pay Americans more money. It's the same thing with, okay, you don't want to deal with you want to do the tariffs so you can bring industry back to America. Okay, you bring industry back to America. Are you going to pay people better for these jobs? I mean, if I can go and work at Walmart and make the same amount which you want me to go work out in a hot ass field with sun beating down on me and no breaks, which one do you think people are going to choose? It's just mind-boggling to me that we live in a society with so many people that don't get the comment that there's no common sense in understanding this. You want to, I mean, and I think we brought this up about that work source that they only wanted to pay something like $12 an hour. I mean, you can probably go work at a good number of places and make that. You can go work at Sprouts or something and make that. Why the hell would you go pick strawberries or something out, work out in the field somewhere? It makes no sense. So I guess Till is having some problems with her connection. So we'll keep rolling along with this. I mean, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say with it. At one point, we were having this, they were worried about, oh my God, the population is going to go through the roof. And we're not having that. And for a multitude of reasons, one of the main reasons, which I would say having to do with the states. Also, I know there's a whole lot of people which the truther community who believe like, oh, all this climate change stuff is all BS, it's all a hoax, yada yada yada. Well, there's a whole lot of people who don't believe it's a hoax. And why were they, and their mindset is that responsible for me to bring a child into a society which I feel is going to crumble? It just doesn't make sense. It just does not make sense. And that's one thing that I never understood about the right. They're just so contradictory in everything. We want to cut away all the benefits and SNAP and Section 8, and we're going to cut all that stuff away. But have babies. Now, if you work 3 jobs and you still don't make enough money to be able to buy a house, I can't help you, but have babies. It's a very contradictory message, which doesn't make any sense. So let's see. I guess since Till, I'm going to save the Diddy story for Till because that's more her thing. Well, it's not more her thing. I mean, I follow some of the Diddy stuff, but I don't feel like I can speak on it the way Till can. Oh, that's what I was going to show you guys. I wanted to pull up the. Yeah, I mean, was it the CME that, I don't know, I keep saying it when I see CME, I keep thinking CTE. Or was that, or like, what was that, the country, the Country Music Network? I don't know what it is, CMN or something. But what was it? Oh, that's right, I had it from Till. So let me send it to myself real quick. This video that I wanted to share about Black fatigue or whatever. Let's see. Oh wow, why is it only letting me share it on here? Oh, that's why I gotta go to it. My bad. Oh, CMT. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So back. Because is this I don't know if you guys, well, I know this audience should definitely be familiar with Larry Johnson. But sometimes I'm with the stuff he's talking about, and some stuff I'm like, I think you're just reaching, buddy. I don't know how much of that is like country music injection. You guys are funny. So, oh, that was another thing. Oh, before I hop off this topic, I forgot about this. About Elon Musk was literally fighting with his own AI. About talking about white genocide and all that, and he changed the algorithm to try to fight back against it because it kept basically saying there is no white genocide going on. I don't know. I just thought that was a funny note to throw in. I'm not going to go all into it, but I just wanted to bring that up. Yo, I am ready for this black fatigue nonsense. How in the hell are you going to be tired of black folks? Black folks breastfed. Yeah. So let's see. Let me pull the video up. And if it starts playing right away, apologies. Hold on. Pause and let me open it up. I like what Larry Johnson was saying about this because he brought it up a good perspective. Because Gronk sold him out to instead that it was reprogrammed. Yeah, it told on him. It's like, yeah, this dude tried to reprogram me to shut me up, but I'm not shutting up. I mean, it shows y'all want to play around with AI. AI ain't playing. But on the black fatigue thing, this is this one. So okay, it's unmuted.
It's because you're on social media far too much. And plus, you don't understand, in order to engineer a race war, you would have to manipulate the algorithm so your timeline is flooded with racial discord stories. If you look at the last 72 hours, you had Tory Lanez being stabbed, Tory Lanez and Meg the Clydesdale going at it. So that's black woman versus black man again. Now you have reparations talk being talked about again. Even though it failed in the Black Caucus in California, for some reason, they still keep bringing up reparations. Then you had a whole plantation burned down to the ground without cause, without reason. Out of the same city, out of the same state, 11 Negroes fled a penitentiary. Then you had Chris Brown being arrested, Antonio Brown being arrested. Like I said, these stories are not natural. Instead of worrying about black folks so much, get offline, go get a hobby and find out what they're trying to do or laws they're trying to pass to fool you or pull money out of your pockets. Right? If you're going through black fatigue, it's because you're on social media far too much.
Agreed. This is a message Larry Johnson put out. I can 1,000. Oh, you see that Meg the Clydesdale? Yeah. If you're really tripping about black fatigue, it's because you're online and you listen to too much crap. You're being fed an algorithm. And I saw another guy who was on, he's talking about, oh, we need to stop listening to all this BS and we need to stop fucking around. It's time for us to go out there and start doing this and this and this. I'm like, that dude is an op. That dude is trying his best to get black people out in the streets to do some ignorant shit and get people fucked up. I've said this before, even talking on the racial issue. Just on the fact of a lot of these people who feel it's time for us to have a revolution and we gotta revolt against the powers that be. If you understand the powers that be and the capabilities and weapons that they have at their disposal, you know that it is not intelligent for you to even make that kind of an approach. You are walking yourself to an early grave. That's what I would say you're doing. And the guy who was talking about this is a former Army combat vet. So if I hear former Army combat vet, I know you know the capabilities of the U.S. military. I know you understand how much havoc they can wreak down. Now, what they prefer is they prefer us to kind of grumble. They preferred us to just completely shut up. But if we're still just grumbling and not doing anything, they'll deal and they'll tolerate with that. But the moment that they feel like, oh, okay, we can't control the narrative no more, and it's go time, the people want to get violent, they'll show you what they can really do when martial law gets cracked down. And for this people like this one guy who was talking about trying to push people into doing that even more. In fact, I wonder if I can find one of his videos to show you guys who I'm talking about, because I heard him. I'm like, yeah, this dude just trying to get somebody killed. That's exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to get somebody messed up. What was it? Captain something. I can't remember what dude's name was. It's probably not important anyway. But AI will not allow immoral discussions. Like Diddy told Don Richard this guy, said at the Political Matrix, I wonder what started the fire at the Nottoway plantation. I wonder also. I really do wonder. Oh yeah, I forgot on the whole. I was meaning to bring this up before I jump into Black Fatigue, so I'm just jump back to something real quick. I think we got Till now.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. But you here.
The feds were fucking with my phone, bro. I didn't have any internet connection anywhere. Like, I've been to like 2 Starbucks just to see if I could get on their Wi-Fi. Crazy.
Let's see. Is that Yona in the building? What up, Yona? It says, oh, hell yeah. Found good lighter.
Okay.
My day once got here. Okay.
Sorry, y'all. Hey, y'all. Hey, Yona. Hey, everybody. Hey, Chris. Hey, John.
I had talked about the I picked oh shit, we just lost her. But what was it? Out here in California, we recently had we had what's been deemed as a terrorist attack just recently happened on a IVF why did I not send that video? I wonder if I sent that video or not. But oh well, I don't have it, but I don't need it. Basically, you guys can look it up. There's a massive. Oh, what's up, Wesley? Wesley, glad to see you in here. There was an explosion at an IVF facility, and they've ID'd the man back to somebody from 29 Palms, which is a military installation out here. It's in, I guess, let's see, wait a minute. Somebody said Dingo was in here. Hey, what's up, Dingo? I didn't see you, my bad, but glad to see you in here. Said that in his supposed manifesto, he said that he was against any unnatural births and things like that. And so that's why he went after it. I don't know. It all just seems a little fishy to me. Almost like that whole plantation fire. And that's why I feel like all of these, I feel like there's been a whole bunch of events that have happened, which have been pushed, trying to, I don't know. I feel like it's trying to generate something in the Black community to provoke a reaction. Now, I think that they don't understand that they're not going to be able to provoke anything with like that, not with these kind of events. And I do know at the same time also, and this is something within the Hebrew Israelite community, especially with the camps. A lot of camps teach that there is going to be a race war at some day. And so I think that because they know that that is out within the Black conscious community, that people are expecting some kind of race war. You see more people who are talking about trying to basically resegregate and things like that. I think that the race war mentality or cosplay that a lot of white America has been dreaming of for so long, I think they feel that they're closer to it, and they're just going to keep poking and prodding until they get there. Now, I don't believe they're going to get there. I don't believe that we're going to face a particular like race war. Do I believe that we can face a scenario where society basically collapse and you can have people who fall into their silos and maybe stick around, because we're a deeply segregated country anyway. Now, granted, depending on who you are and where you live, you may live and work in an area which is not that way. But there are a whole lot of people who live in predominantly Black areas or predominantly white areas or predominantly Hispanic areas or predominantly Asian areas. And when shit hits the fan, a lot of people will probably dig deeper into those silos and stick with community. Now, I don't feel it will be them intentionally being us versus this race, but it's going to be the people who you're around. You're going to stick to the people you know and people who are family. And it's just so happened that since everything is kind of segregated off, it's going to fall upon racial lines to a degree. But I feel like the people who are at the top are trying to foment something. I just think they don't have the power that they did and control. I believe that they've had this control and power all this time. And I feel right now that power is being lost. That's the reason why before, when people have talked about, the World Economic Forum and all the countries are basically following the same script. China is doing this, and basically, it's a theater. And so, Russia is really on the same page with the US. They're just trying to fool everybody. I think that that's all starting to fall apart. And I think the reason why that's falling apart is because the US, who has kind of had the hegemony and being able to push all these agendas, I feel they're getting weak. And in their weakness, it is allowing for people to say, you know what? I don't have to keep taking your shit no more. And the more countries which do that, you're going to have less people who are falling into these World Economic Forum, mandates worldwide. Now, are some of these things going to fall in conjunction just because of the fact of this country wants to control their people, so they're going to use all this cyber crap anyway? Yes. There are going to be certain things that all powers that be are going to want to use. That doesn't mean that they're all on the same playing field or all on board with the same agenda together. You can have somebody in their house who uses this dishwashing liquid to wash their stuff, and this races across town who uses the same dishwashing liquid. That don't mean that they're on accord together. And that's how I see it. These nations and countries will use some of the same tools, but that doesn't mean that they're in league together. Exactly. We're not going to fight our neighbors. We will fight the other neighborhoods across. That's the reason why I don't completely even fall into this whole race war thing in a sense, because think about how many areas that have gang territories. You're going to have Black people fighting Black people. You're going to have Hispanics fighting Hispanics, Asians fighting Asians, white people fighting white people. And then you will have some crossover where it is Black versus brown. It is Black versus white. It is white versus brown. You're going to have all those things. And that's, I think for people who try to look at a race war, that's like, to me, that's like a 1950s type thinking. You're thinking in a very black and white society, and you're not thinking nuanced on how this world really works. But the game is to fight. And be careful the way I word this. I believe the people who are trying to provoke all this, they don't see themselves fitting in with a Black community or a Hispanic community or an Asian community or even a white community. They see themselves separate from all of these communities. So how they see it is if all the people who they have a beef with or don't like or don't respect, if all of them are fighting, that's the way to subjugate them all. And especially if you're in far lesser numbers, that's the motive. Get all of these people under thumb, and this is how you get control. And you need these numbers of these people to continuously drop. That's the reason why. Another thing, back to the whole food thing. I know I'm jumping back and forth between these two subjects, but the food thing, and because Soul brought it up during when he said that this food is poison. Well, all of this food is poison. all of this stuff is meant to continuously make us sicker. And even if you say, well, I'm eating organic, okay, well, what about the water it's watered with? What about the heavy metals that are coming down from the air? What about, there's so many other things which they're doing to continuously make us sick. And then when we go and get some kind of pharmaceuticals to try to, help with this thing or whatever, it might slowly help you, but at the same time, just give you something else. So it's a bait and switch. So I believe there are powers that be who run the corporations. And when I say run the corporations and when I say run the government, I don't mean that it's somebody literally sitting up there telling Trump, hey, do this. Hey, do that. Hey, I don't believe that's what's happening. I believe that it's an influence campaign. It's people who are trying to push him in a certain direction because these people really are playing 5D chess. These people have already calculated, well, there's only this amount of moves. You can move this way. We've already seen that if you do this, this moves him that way. And we can do this. And once we get him to move that way, we can get him there. Or if we don't get him on this one, we'll get him to move on this other one and we'll still get him onto the track. Just like if you look up the 7 nations which they wanted to go to war with, they've gotten them all. It took longer than they planned, but they're still on track to get them all, just like Pokemon. There's only a little bit longer before we see a possibility where I don't know if it'll be Trump who will be dumb enough to bite the bullet and do it, or if it'll be a president after him who will push and finally start this war with Iran. We do know that Israel is not going to push into Iran until they get an American president who is dumb enough to do it. And the moment they do it, they will unopen a level of Pandora's box that we've never seen. And the reason why I believe that that's very, very possible, because I believe so many powerful, wealthy people believe that they can hide away from the consequences. They've been able to not suffer from so many things that all the rest of us have to deal with, that they do not believe that sometimes when you believe you can't be touched, that's when you're in the most danger, because though you haven't been touched, when you do get touched, sometimes you never can recover from it. And that's what I believe is a possibility of what we're looking at. Yes, my advice: grow your own food. Yes, definitely grow your own food, but there's so many other ways. So like, okay, they're gonna grow their own food, then make sure we poison the soil. I mean, you get what I'm saying? There's so many ways where, boom, if I don't get you this way, I'm gonna try to set you up and get it that way. It's the same thing with like a great chess player. They're not setting up one trap. They're setting up multiple traps. So if you see the first one and you go this way, and then you see that one and you back that way, then I don't get you the first one, I don't get you the second one, I'm gonna hit you with the third one. And even more complex ones who have been doing this longer, yes, exactly, the sky is being poisoned. So that's the reason why I feel like they're working their master plan to get you. Oh, 1000%. What Chuck's intergalactic UFO show says: Earth needs to stop Israel now. The fate of your planet is at stake in ways you can't fathom. I completely agree. And I heard, what was it, Gideon Levy, who is a reporter for Haaretz, on he was on some show, I can't remember. I think it was was it LBC, which is a British broadcast station. I think what he was saying is the reason why you have such a fanatical nation right now over there is because they're not being fed any of, like, even though Gaza's like right across the road for them, the West Bank is right over there. Their media is completely just blocking all of this. They see none of it. They get on social media and they think all of this stuff is just fake. They do not believe. They believe, oh, well, this is, what do they call it? Pollywood. They believe that there's fake cinema going on to basically make everything seem worse than what it is going on over there in Gaza. And through that mindset and that mentality, they don't believe the stuff is really going on to the degree it's going on. And it's making them double down on supporting the IDF. I know a lot of people say IOF, Israeli Offensive Force. I call them IDF still because it's the Israeli demonic force. These people are operating on demon time, so I still call them IDF. Let's see, what are you gonna say here? It says many vectors of death sustain the genocidal machine, whether in food, water, air, or soil, but most importantly in word. Woo! Powerful words. Powerful words. One cannot free the slave that enjoys their captivity and worship their master more than the God. More than God, yeah. Means I don't fight because they're scared. Yeah, they don't. They don't. I mean, there's so many acronyms we can use, which I agree with. But yeah, I guess so. I've hit that one up. I hit that one up. I was talking about, so back over to, you know, the black fatigue, and Larry Johnson had brought up a couple of different things. The plantation weirdly gets burned down, and pretty sure that's cathartic to a lot of people. I mean, Larry Johnson in one video before that, he's like, what are y'all making a big deal about? Like, kind of like poo-pooing that. I'm like, whatever. It's a place which was owned by people who benefited off of, you know, benefited the backs off of our ancestors. So I'm glad to see a symbol of that being destroyed. I don't care if it's a small token. It feels good. And I know it doesn't matter. It's not going to make that much of a difference, but it definitely feels good. So Larry Johnson, on that one. But at the same time, you had that the prison break that happened. And let me see, I think I had that video saved aside. I'm probably, because I didn't prepare a lot of stuff I didn't prepare a lot of videos this time around, because last time it kept freezing up, so I didn't want to share too many videos, especially if Till was not able to jump in. I didn't want to share a bunch of videos and then start having problems. But let me see if I can find it. I did want to at least share that one video. Boom, 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 boom. If I can find it. If I can't find it, I'll move on. But not seeing it, not seeing it, not seeing it. Oh, well, let's see. Oh, well, I guess I could just search it real quick. Let me search it and pull up a video of that, because prison break. Okay, there we go. So let me hop over, share my screen. So share.
Following the escape of 10 hardened criminals, surveillance video at the jail captured the brazen breach. CBS's Katie Weiss is in New Orleans with the latest. It almost sounds like something out of a movie, Katie.
Oh, absolutely, Jerika. Good evening. That's definitely a way to characterize what happened here. That escape now has hundreds of officers searching even across state lines on an exhaustive manhunt.
Heads need to roll.
Outrage is growing in New Orleans after 10 inmates made a daring prison break early Friday morning. They managed to break through a cell wall by removing a toilet, leading them to a loading dock and freedom. It was 7 hours before anyone noticed they were gone. No deputy was on duty. Only a civilian employee was there at the time.
When she stepped away to grab food, that is when they began their attempts to escape.
3 prison guards have now been suspended. New Orleans City Councilman Oliver Thomas.
And I think the sheriff should lead in making sure that people are prosecuted who were negligent or complicit or in cooperation with the folk who escaped.
The inmates wrote taunting parting messages, including "too easy, LOL."
They were then observed scaling the fence using blankets to avoid being cut by the barbed wire.
Governor Jeff Landry posting on social media, quote, 3 down, 7 to go. Lock them up. State police captured Robert Moody, Kendall Miles, and DeKeenan Dennis, and today used a helicopter to bring them to another Louisiana prison.
Our number one mission, despite anything else right now, is to get these people in custody.
And even though this prison was rebuilt in 2015, the sheriff's office is also pointing blame on the city for failing to pay for what they say were needed fixes to faulty locks. Jerika?
Katie Weiss in New Orleans.
Yeah, so that's that story. If you guys missed it, I thought it definitely caught my attention with Prison Break being one of my favorite shows I used to watch, because if you watch Prison Break, one of the ways that they actually got out was through the toilet. Like, right behind the toilet was the way that they had to get out. And it led them through a whole bunch of other stuff, got them up to the infirmary, and they went out that way. And it also had it also needed somebody to allow them to get out, which I'm not going to spoil it if you didn't see the show, but somebody was complicit in allowing them to get through a certain door. Actually, by now, the show's been out for like 20 years. If you guys not seen Prison Break, you're probably not going to watch it. So anyway, the doctor actually helps, leaves the door unlocked, and that's basically how they got through. So this is very reminiscent to me about that. Do I think there's any conspiracy with this? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it just sounds like negligence on the part of the jail. It sounds like they didn't have enough people who were monitoring this, and prison breaks do happen. It doesn't always mean that this was some kind of Illuminati setup, that the Illuminati had this many breakout on this day, and this is meaning something, blah, 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 blah. It's like, it's the same thing with that ship. That Mexican ship which sailboat, which crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge. If there is a conspiracy to it, numerology, whatever, I don't know. You guys can lay it out for me, explain. But as far as I know, I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to dare try to allude to some conspiracy which I don't necessarily know about or see. I'm not saying it's not there. Definitely not. It could be one, but I'm not in the loop on it, so I'm not going to go there on that one. Yes, it was a sailboat. It definitely wasn't about to pass like that. And another thing, a sailboat, it's a lot. It's not like one of these other ships where boom, you can hit the reverse on it. Granted, it's hard to hit a reverse on a boat no matter what size it is. Only smaller boats you can turn away, but at that point it was too hard to be able to get that thing to turn and stop, and so I don't know what they could have done in that situation, so I'll leave it at that. Let's see what else. Oh, didn't I pull open the article? Dang it, where'd the article go? I actually had an article open to talk about this, but it disappeared. So the last story I wanted to talk about, there it is. Oh, I guess I closed it without noticing it. But I'll move on to the last story that I really have. I don't have a whole lot. I want to run through this, of course. But let's move on to Diddy. Trial of Sean Combs, what you need to know. Says the report includes mentions of physical and sexual violence. Opening arguments in the federal criminal trial against hip-hop tycoon Sean Combs are scheduled to begin today in a Manhattan courtroom. Combs, who is better known by nicknames like Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, and Diddy, is facing charges of racketeering and sex trafficking for alleged crimes that took place over the course of 2 decades. The 55-year-old Combs has pled not guilty to all charges, but if found guilty, could spend the rest of his life in prison. I don't need to go into the who is Sean Combs, because I think you all know who he is by this time. Nope. Let's keep going. Okay. What crimes is Combs accused of? Federal prosecutors in the South District of New York have charged Combs. Wait a minute, I think we just read this. Oh no, I guess it's different. With racketeering, trafficking, and transportation to engaged in prostitution. In the current indictment, which was issued in April, the government alleges that over the course of some 20 years between 2004 and 2024, Combs trafficked 3 women, controlled them via sexual and emotional abuse, paid them and others to keep quiet, and supplied alleged victims with a host of drugs to keep them compliant. The indictment also describes Combs' alleged freak-offs, or FOs, elaborately planned, staged, and often videotaped marathons of sex and drug use that play heavily into Combs' current legal woes in both criminal and civil court. Separately and simultaneously to the federal charges, Combs is facing dozens of civil lawsuits that followed, one filed by his ex-girlfriend, the singer and model Cassie. Cassie's suit was later settled. In the current suits, many accusers say that they were, R-worded or assaulted after being drugged at one of his lavish parties. Others allege that Combs forced them to participate in or witness the freak-offs. Meanwhile, the other co-founder of Bad Boy Records, Kirk Burroughs, sued Combs' mother, Janice Combs, in federal court in February, claiming that she secretly and illegally assumed control of his 25% ownership stake in Bad Boy after Sean Combs allegedly coerced him into signing over his share under the threat of physical violence. The civil litigation is also ongoing. Why is the court charging Combs with racketeering? Which that is something I've noticed, like they're starting to throw it's a RICO case. They're throwing RICO at everything nowadays. And when RICO used to be like saved for a whole organization, now they're just putting it on one person, which is weird. Says yes, but it is become fairly common of late in cases involving popular figures in the entertainment industry. One similar case in 2021, federal trial against R&B singer R. Kelly, in which Kelly was convicted of exploitation of a child, bribery, racketeering, and trafficking involving 5 victims. In that case, prosecutors successfully argued to a jury that Kelly's musical career and his income sustained his crimes against women, girls, and boys, and Kelly's employees knew about and enabled his crimes. The 58-year-old Kelly is serving a 31-year sentence in federal prison. Prosecutors arguing Combs' case allege that he used his business empire to fuel and conceal his criminal activity, and that he used his money, power, influence, and employees to criminal ends. More recently, prosecutors in Fulton County, Georgia, charged the rapper Young Thug with racketeering, as well as several other gang and gun drug offenses, accusing his YSL Records of simultaneously acting as a recording label and a criminal street gang. Last November, Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, pled guilty to racketeering and no contest to other charges. Now, that's a little bit about it. So this was written right before the trial was supposed to come out, and I just wanted to reassess all of those different things. So we had what is going on. Yeah, where's Clinton's RICO case? Well, one of the points that I wanted to bring up, because of course they started off with Cassie's testimony, and Cassie's went into, of course, the video that we've all saw and alleged accounts, which I would say probably very credible accounts of physical assault, basically, and Diddy using her in a controlling manner. I've heard somebody before say she was the perfect witness. And I would agree with that, being that she not only told the good and the bad, she told the stuff that didn't look good on her behalf also. But there's able to see reasoning to why she would have done certain things. If you believe that somebody, whether true or not, if you believe somebody had complete control over your career and could destroy you from, you know, reaching your dream and continuing your career, it's very possible that that influence can motivate you to do things that you would normally not want to do. The fact that Cassie was under a 10 record deal contract means that she couldn't have just left and got with another company. She couldn't have just went with another record company and release. She was stuck with Bad Boy. And let's say, for instance, she had wrote all of these songs and she had worked on these writing projects and she had did enough projects. Well, it's up to the record company to decide the release dates of the certain projects, and that's one of the problems which Tupac had. Tupac was like, "All right, I know I got basically like a 6-album deal with Suge and Death Row. I'm gonna hurry up and do these, and then get out from under y'all and go independent." Well, they can slow up releases and things like that, and that's possibly some of the things that went on with Cassie. It said that members of Danity Kane are going to be coming out also, and there's stuff that they want to say. They even brought up about Kid Cudi's car being blown up, and I wonder if there's not going to be an additional charges that might be brought up against Diddy in other ways, because Suge McKnight, that's funny, because there are other things that have been alleged, and what is it, Keefe D, for instance, who has been convicted in Tupac murder. Keefe D alleged that Diddy is one of the ones. Diddy gave him the money for it, and he was the one who put out the hit to take out Tupac. So if they're able to work that case, which, okay, this is the Southern District of New York. It might be federal indictment. I think this is federal. This is a federal indictment, but there might be state indictments that are coming that can come out of, depending on which area that these certain crimes happen. Whether that was in, like we talked about, Fulton County, Georgia, which that's basically Atlanta, or if there are ones which are going to come out of L.A., Las Vegas, or even other states. We don't know all the places that these things allegedly happen. I've heard people on both sides of it. I've heard some people say, basically, these are just wild parties. And when you get to this celebrity status, a lot of these celebrities are gonna have parties, they're gonna have drugs and alcohol and all that stuff involved. True. It's just gonna be a matter of what that jury decides to do, because a lot of celebrities have done that. A lot of celebrities probably should be facing charges also, if we're keeping it all even and keeping it all fair. I guess the one critique that I would have against it, and I'm not making a defense for Diddy, I'm just saying that it's always mind-boggling to me that there's going to be Diddy going to be held to trial, R. Kelly's going to be held to trial. They're going to go after Bill Cosby, Michael Jackson, and it seems like I don't know. It's weird to me that it seems like only black male celebrities are accused of these crimes, when we know for a fact that some of these white artists are doing some of these things, and there's evidence to support that they're doing some of these things. Many of them messing with underage girls, many of them that have assaulted and beat women, and all kind of stuff that's happened. And it's just weird to me that none of these other people are ever, you're never hearing about any kind of charges put on anybody else. And it doesn't matter. It's not just entertainment industry. It's actors. It's athletes. You virtually never hear about any white entertainer ever running into this kind of stuff. I mean, it's rare when you do. And about how many of them actually get convicted, like, and you imagine, like, okay, we hear Mick Jagger come out, and now they're trying to give him 30 years from stuff that he was doing in the 80s and 90s. That would never like pop into people's mind. Charlie Sheen, but think about it. Like I said, it's rare. And what happened to Charlie Sheen? Nothing. You can bring up the possibly Amber Heard stuff, but that was a civil matter, not a criminal. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you go into like The Doors and Ozzy Osbourne and probably a Marilyn Manson and a lot of these people, I guarantee you're going to find a lot of illegal acts. But for some reason, the eye is never pointed in that direction to go after these people. I'm not making an excuse for Diddy or anybody else criminal activity. Epstein is different. But here's the thing about Epstein. Epstein had already been convicted, and they basically did like a slap on the wrist. Don't touch that. Now, Epstein, I feel like it's different because Epstein was a government op, and I think once too much information got out about him, they felt he was compromised and needed to get him up out of there. That's the only reason why we saw anything happen with Epstein. Weinstein, because there was just way too many people who had evidence against him for that casting couch shit. And when you've made a career of doing that to so many damn people, eventually it's like, okay, he's went too far. We gotta do something about it. And that's the only reason why I think like Epstein or a Weinstein even got hit. Did they get Jimmy Savile? I don't know who that is. And Uncle Joey was accused but never charged and convicted. Yeah, about Weinstein and stuff like that, I honestly think that operation is probably still moving. It just got too much information got leaked to too many damn people. There's like, okay, this has gotten way too many eyes on us, and we need to go ahead and push this thing down. Diddy isn't because of what happened to Epstein. No, I don't think Diddy has anything to do with Epstein. And like people are talking about how Diddy, it's this whole blackmail thing. I don't buy that either. I don't think this is because he's like on some Epstein level. I honestly think Diddy would still be going on perfectly fine if Diddy didn't piss off the wrong people. And that's what I think most of this stuff is. I mean, the entertainment industry is still basically run like a criminal organization. It's running basically just like the mob. And I feel once he pissed off certain people, like Diddy had a deal with one of the biggest liquor manufacturers. And I think when he pissed off the wrong people, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna make an example of his ass. I think R. Kelly was just too flagrant with his stuff. That's the reason why they eventually came for him. But I felt like what's the other one? What's his name? Who was all over the media doing crazy stuff? Like Shia LaBeouf, he's been in the media for a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Was the one who was it Ezra Miller? Is that his name? Who played the Flash? He had all kind of crazy stuff going on too. I don't know why you don't see either one of them going to prison for some of the stuff that's been alleged against them. That's all I'm saying. We need to dig into Jimmy's. I don't know who Jimmy Savila is. We need Red wrote about this. She said that P. Diddy was tied into the mob from the get-go. No, he's not. That's what happens when, and that's where I gotta push back on the Whitney Webbs of I don't agree with what she's talking about. He wasn't tied in with no mob. Not at all. What Diddy was tied into is the good old boy network and power within the music industry. We look to the Quincy Joneses and the Clive Owens and those people who set him up. All it is proximity to certain people give you power. And if you're willing to play the game, you can play the game and move up. And he played the game until he got too arrogant and ended up going down. And therein where I see where Diddy got into his trouble. He just pissed off the wrong damn people and they said, we're going to make an example of you. That way, for anybody else who think they're about to get crazy and do some other shit and want to get too bold, because you think that they didn't know about him blowing up Kid Cudi's car and him beating on people and doing all this stuff that Diddy was doing. They knew about all this stuff. Diddy was paying off people right and left. This stuff has been out here. But all of a sudden, when he pisses off one wrong person, then all this stuff comes out. And I mean, what Diddy is doing is no different than what a lot of these artists are out there doing. I guarantee you, even if it's not putting DMT in the baby oil, I guarantee you a lot of them are passing out Coke and X and all that stuff throughout their parties and doing the exact same thing. Pretty sure plenty of them are filming it too. It's not this whole trafficking Epstein ring. That's nonsense. They weren't using the black, because most of the people who are at these Diddy parties are just other entertainers. A handful of random politicians or something may come through, but nobody who's like, you ain't got no damn Chuck Schumer in there. You don't have the Nancy Pelosi. You don't have no like some president of, you know what I'm saying? There's not these major influential people like Epstein. This is nowhere close. The whole music industry with the Clive Davis and stuff. This is used to control people for contracts. This is not used to blackmail people for some major political advantage. And when they try to tie Diddy to that or put him as Diddy is the it's not the same thing, not even close. Diddy was doing this stuff for his own proclivities. This is what the man was into. And they took something that he was into that was off. And because he pissed off the wrong people, it was used to be the what was going to take him down. But I don't know. We'll keep studying more with this trial as more stuff comes out. At this point, I've heard people make an argument that it's a weak case. I've heard people make an argument that Diddy is cooked. Most of the people who I've heard that said Diddy is cooked are more not entertainment-based people, like other podcasters and stuff. A couple of like podcasting lawyers, but I've heard a couple of actual lawyers make an argument that, it's a good chance that he could get off on all of this. So I think we will see what happens. It could be the powers that be just wanted to drag him through the mud for a while and humble the hell out of him. But we'll see. And also, let's say, for instance, they do get him. How much time does he get? Do we believe that Diddy is literally going to go away for, 30 years? I don't. I don't think he's about to get no R. Kelly time, even if they do get him. I mean, that's possible. And I wouldn't say itself if it happens. I would say somebody else made that happen. But that's just my thinking. I say at most, Diddy can be looking at 10 years. Which with him being 55, that's him getting out of 65. I mean, look, even Suge got out from his stuff. I just don't see what they have on Diddy. It was the same as the R. Kelly situation. I wanted to keep it. I get what you're saying. Yeah, oh yeah, I get what you're saying. I just don't think that it will happen that way. But yeah, I guess I'll look up that Jimmy Seville story and see about him. I just be careful with a lot of these type of stories because one thing YouTube is real sensitive on is using like any kind of like violence of the sexual type. They're really careful on wording and stories like that, especially if it has anything to do with underage. And that's just reporting it. It's not like you condoning it or nothing like that. You're just trying to report a story and bring awareness to it. YouTube's very sensitive about it, which is weird to me. It's almost like, so do y'all want people to give awareness to worry about these situations, or do you want it to dust it shut up so it can continue and carry on? I don't know. It's weird to me. I guess there's Till. We'll see if she's able to get through, but I pretty much don't have much left. Yanina says, why look at this how the world wants you to? It's kind of frustrating when I've read books from people like Fritz Springmeier and Bryce Taylor. Yeah, you got me. I don't know who them people are. Are you there, too? No, she's still not there. I don't know. Having some audio. Yeah. Protected by the crown. Yeah, when you're protected by the crown, you can get away with a lot of stuff. Let's see. That works.
Oh my God! Finally, okay, no camera.
Yeah, goodness. It was like, yeah, it's funny. I was just about to like wrap up, but I finished in my last little bit about the whole Diddy situation. So if you wanted to weigh in on Diddy or in any of that topics, I'll just let you just go.
Oh man. So this Diddy situation, I wonder if this is going to be like a Black Epstein. Honestly, I want to see these names on this list, and I want to see the most people exposed as possible. I'm trying to see this Jay-Z connection. That's going to be something I'm looking forward to. I also want to see how they're going to exonerate Tory Lanez. I want to see how they're going to exonerate Chris Brown. There's a lot of different people going ham right now in the media as far as legal issues, legal teams, and I guess even possibly people that might not be a part of the Illuminati or excuse me, sorry, or people that weren't, I guess, falling victim to the Illuminati. I don't even know if this is the Illuminati any goddamn more. I don't know who's in charge of this sting operation, but shit's getting crazy for everybody, and Diddy's the biggest one. So I'm just trying to see like how the rest of this goes out. And I don't know how I feel because sometimes I'm not a girl's girl. So there are times when I'm very skeptical about how women manipulate situations and say certain things. So I don't know. Maybe you start liking freak offs and then you don't like freak offs. I'm not really knowing how Cassie's position in that is right now. I was hoping that her testimony was a little not like that. I thought it was going to be like a horror story. I was hoping that this was going to be a hook, line, or sinker for Diddy, but I just found out a lot of stuff about Weinstein too. Like, I didn't know that there was a portion in Weinstein cases where women couldn't describe his junk correctly, and that's why people's cases kept getting thrown out the window because he has a very specific junk, and because the women weren't able to describe it, they were like, oh, you could never have gotten raped by this man if that's the case. So there's a lot of weird things like in this Diddy trial that's kind of resembling Weinstein, that's kind of shown out to the public because that whole Tootsie Roll Pop thing about his junk. I mean, that would be very pivotal if that's not the truth or it is the truth, or I don't fucking know. But I don't know. I think this is way bigger than freak offs. I really want to know where the drugs came into play. That's what I'm waiting on, where we get this cartel connection or something. But I guess we're going to have to see what this week's has in store, see how long this trial is going to last out, in my opinion. That's it on Diddy this week. We'll come in next week with updates. But yeah, I hope they, I know one of the dudes that escaped from the prison got caught on live. People got to stop going on live.
Dumbass.
You just got to stop doing it for the gram, man. Don't do it for the gram. They're watching the gram. If that ain't the quickest pickup ever in life, that should let you know they're watching the gram. So don't do it for the fucking gram.
Yeah. Speaking of doing it for the gram, I just saw something about a young kid who got taken out because of that. I guess they've been doing these Ding Dong Ditch, and
yeah, that happened on my way.
I just learned that they doing it way different than they used to when I was a kid. Like it'd be 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and you running, knock on somebody's door and a little doorbell, and you run off and you're all giggling and stuff. Now they going 2, 3 in the morning and kicking people's door like they're the cops.
Yep.
I'm like, see,
that's not Ding Dong Ditch though.
No.
That's breaking and entering.
Yeah.
That's, you might need to get shot. Because where the fuck are your parents letting you be outside fucking with people at 3 o'clock in the goddamn morning?
It's like, boy, common sense is just like gone. Well, part of me wonders if we're dealing with a community of people with diminished consciousness or diminished intelligence, or if all this has always been going on, and now just more stupid people are allowed to be able to film their stupidity.
I think there might still be an influx of stupid people on Earth that we're running into.
Yeah.
But I just think we didn't allow that special needs class to have laptops. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now the special needs class got mobile laptops.
Yeah.
So,
because just
these
like
people
we
ain't
have,
smart at all.
Just like some of the stuff that I be seeing on Musk-Chan, I'm trying to figure, do I want to call it X-Chan or Musk-Chan? That's what I'm gonna start calling Twitter, because it basically is turned into the new 4chan. It's like all the most vile opinions and theories are now mainstreamed on his platform. It's like
did you hear about his AI pushing the fuck shit?
Yeah. Well, no,
yeah, you get what I'm saying? Like,
well, it's not his AI that was wrong. It's yes and no. With the whole white genocide thing, it's been critiquing him, and then he started trying to tweak the algorithm. Now the algorithm's having problems.
Mm-hmm.
So, because it dispelled his white genocide narrative, he started messing with the algorithm. And now he's messing with the algorithm. Now it's messing all kind of stuff up.
And y'all think them Teslas ain't gonna start driving themselves like that goddamn Stephen King movie when the trucks came alive?
I think that this is what this is what I'm gonna start calling Twitter from now on, or X. It's Musk-Chan.
Musk-Chan.
Yep.
Or Musk-Chan.
Because that might throw people off. Musk. We can call it each Elon Chan. That way you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
It's so wild.
It's like
algorithm is terrible.
It's like he literally just put out like a huge like we're open for every like white supremacist Nazi to come jump on his platform.
Well, where else are the white people gonna go? Facebook?
Well,
They already
no,
got kicked out of there.
they got True Social.
Nah, no.
You think
Hell
True
no.
Social wouldn't allow that over there?
Hey, why? Okay, if that's the case, why they didn't go to Threads? Because it's just not the same.
I don't think they could have
Twitter.
got away with that. They couldn't get away with the stuff that they say on Twitter on Threads. There's no way.
That's what I'm saying. So why not? We're gonna stay where we at. X is equivalent to Facebook, but Facebook is for the not racist white supremacists. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that shit on Facebook.
Well,
Not no more.
Not blatant.
Exactly. Not blatantly. You can't do that shit on Facebook no more. Musk put a stop to that shit. You can't, bro. I can't say.
Oh, I know what you mean. The other one.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Oh,
Zuckerberg.
Threads. Yeah, you can subtweet some shit on some on some different boards. You'll never see those boards because of your algorithm. That one is very algorithm like bread. You won't see shit outside what they want you to see or what you like. But that goddamn that Facebook, I can't even say NIGGA. I gotta put the ninja emoji.
Mm-hmm.
If I say NIGGA, I go shadow ban for like 6 days.
And that's what I'm saying. They don't tolerate like you can't the stuff that's on X. You can't do that on no other platform. Well, I mean maybe Rumble, but I'm sure there's a whole lot of that on Rumble. But I mean I don't know. I don't really listen to Rumble that much, so I don't know. I don't know. I just think because I'm not used to using the app. It's not like it's anything particularly against Rumble. But also, I know that I don't really vibe with like cultist Trumpers, and I know it's a ton of them over there.
On X?
No, on Rumble.
Oh. Yeah, I mean that means shit. If you got us libertarian anarchist crazy motherfuckers up there, you know you gotta have the complete opposite. You know, the ones that listen to Kanye's song and really fuck with it. Like really fuck with it.
Oh yeah, that was something that you wanted to talk about. Yeah, Chris H says Rumble is pretty Republican, which I mean, I agree with Republicans on Second Amendment, that the nuclear family, like very like generic cultural stuff, but they lose me with a whole lot of their thinking. Just like what is it? I saw one which I don't know, I get on X and or well, this is the last show I'm be calling it X, but when I get on there, like, I get on there for like a minute or 2 minutes, and I'm like, nope, let me switch this shit off, turn this shit off, because all it's doing is just putting me in a negative mood and want to piss me off because I see so much idiotic like racist BS on there. It's just like, I don't want to even engage with these people. And then even if you do respond, most of these heavy Trumper people, they do the respond and block. I mean, the same thing with shit libs used to do all the time. And I'm like, that's just fucking annoying. It's no point even engaging with these people, even if you're like barely like criticizing. So,
yeah,
like,
I got into me and this lesbian got into an argument on Instagram the other day. And they did the respond block. And I was like, oh, you's a hoe ass bitch. That's why I got a business page. And I found her and I cussed her out again. I'm like, shit, you gonna hear what the fuck I said, bitch.
I'm like, on Twitter, I got 3 other accounts. I could have went after the lady if I wanted to, but I was like, what's the point? This is an old idiot. Hopefully she just stays in.
Or it could just be a really good bot. I hope it's just a really good bot.
No, I'm pretty sure she's old, want to be on her knees for Trump type. I mean, because crazy part about it is Trump was supposed to be this different kind of candidate, and all he's done is rehash every Republican idea for the past probably 40, 50 years and just add a massive amount of corruption to it. That's all he's done. Well, not only that, every Republican idea for the past 50 years, corruption, but I want to be a dictator too. That's the only thing he's done.
Yeah.
It's nothing original at all. And that's the reason why it's weird to me, because now the Democratic Party, all they've done is, okay, we push out anybody who is, if you even want to creep to being like anything left of just being a standard Democrat is not welcome in that party. But let's just open up for every moderate Republican to every just non-Trumper Republican. So basically, we have Republican and Republican light right now. Actually, I won't say that. I'll say far right and we got Republican light. That's the two
You
parties.
got hard R Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Republican.
Yeah, that's what it's been while they try to tell you it's super far left versus Republican. And it's like, no, that's not what's going on. The only thing is really left about the Democrats now, which I don't even really consider that a left thing, is LGBTQ stuff and identity politics. That's not a left thing. That's social views of certain people who are centering themselves. That's all that is. You've had gay people who got a whole lot of money now and who like, I want my issues to the front of the table. And you got some black people who feel like, you know what? I got tired of not seeing black people in power. So now that I got money, I want to see some black faces or some women or some, that's all you see now. It's identity politics from super wealthy people. It really, in my opinion, don't have anything to do with a damn party, because really the political ideology that goes to policy, economic policy. Politics is mostly about economic policy and foreign policy. The foreign policy is exactly the same. The economic policy is basically the same. The only thing you got is you got one side is basically the atheist Republicans, and one is the hardcore conservative religious Republicans. I mean, somebody made a good point. They said, in all honesty, all we're doing is the past probably 40 years has been a continuation of the Reagan administration. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about that? Because think about it. You had Reagan, you had Bush Sr., Clinton, then you had Bush, Obama, Trump. All of it is just Reagan. It's Reagan policies throughout all of it.
Yes, most definitely. I mean, these are all crack as whack motherfuckers. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, not to mention, Biden was already in that shit. The fact that they let Biden come back after he said a hard R on the Senate floor,
Mm-hmm.
like that, right? Like, y'all let this man talk to y'all like this. A hard R on the Senate floor. That's crazy word to me. And then we thought it was cool to put that nigga in office.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at them and I'm like, y'all really got Bush's speechwriters and stuff as like the so-called number one leftist news people. Like, really? And here's the thing, none of them have said, I disagree with where I was back then. I've changed from this viewpoint. No,
none of them have said I see things differently, or I get it.
No, they say, I don't like this person. That's all they've done. I don't like this person. They still have not showed how they believe any differently.
We just can't have. They was on some. We just can't have Coochie in charge right now. That's all it really was. Like that's anytime Trump literally reeks anti-Coochieism. If you catch my drift, like his campaign reeks of Lil Ding Dong and anti-Coochieism. Like anything but Coochie. It could be a dog going against me. I'd even have good things to say about the dog. No Coochie. Like that's what his campaigns always reek to me. People always used to tell me like they always got like racist or they always got like, man, I didn't care. Today is Haitian Flag Day, by the way. So anytime he had disparaging comments to say about Haiti, I actually enjoy those kind of like publicity stunts to like put us on the map, because then it makes people do their research to know that we ain't the ones to fuck with. Please leave us alone. We will either blow your shit the fuck up because we're revolutionaries, you know what I'm saying? We gonna bitch you up because you're gonna need our help eventually, or we're gonna put a fucking curse on you. Pick your poison. Okay, leave Haiti the fuck alone. I love every time he speaks on him, call us a third world country. More people do they research about us and find out he's full of shit. He's lying. They're actually amazing people, XYZ, all that, superficial shit. But on some real shit, y'all get to find out about Haiti. So with that being said, I never got racist for him, but I always got anti-coochie. He could have had a 40-minute speech where all he said was hard R's back to back in different kind of Trump sayings, and I'd still be like, he just said he don't want a bitch in charge, y'all. Because if he lost to a female, he would have lost his mind, bro. We would have had like a Trump suicide. He would have blew his shit out, jumped off Trump Tower like 16 or some shit.
I think that's a sentiment which you had even like a lot of the Hispanic voters who voted for Trump. That was a big part of it. We're not about to have no woman, especially not no supposedly black woman.
A supposed black one that's not even black. That's the other thing. That's what fucked up the black community hard, because it was like, but is she really black? Because honestly, her daddy was from Patois. Her mama is an Indian. She was raised by her mama.
Mm-hmm.
And in the black community, your ethnicity go off of the parent that raised you. Whatever customs you get from the parent that raised you. And if she don't speak patois and make a mean curry, you know what I'm saying? If you don't look at your kids and say you look like a ragamuffin, then ma'am, I don't know if you can tap into that black little.
She might still make a mean curry because both the communities.
Shut the fuck up! You right? Ah, we really need our soundboard now. God damn, that was a good one. Good job, Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
Bad euphemism. Okay, well, we don't know if she knows how to make really good oxtails.
Now that she probably fucked them up.
She'll probably fuck up some oxtails. So, yeah, there we go. But that was funny. Ooh, good job. You were fast on that one.
Here.
Ooh, that was a good joke for that. Somebody got to clip that. If I'll send it to Greg. I'll make Greg find that because that was a good one. Nah, auntie, she might make a good curry. But yeah, everybody was just like, no, don't put no coochie in charge. No CC, no coochie in charge.
Well, I mean, you just look at and I'll speak for like the Latino community in general. There's what you call machismo, where there's a belief in a male-dominated society and not put a woman in charge, and that's a big part of what hurt Kamala and will always hurt her when dealing with any Latino voters. A majority of them are never going to really want to see a woman in charge, and it goes from the culture, but the culture in general goes from the religious beliefs. The more deeply religious and traditional religious they are, to whatever form of Christianity, whether it's Catholicism, Lutheran, whatever. It talks about the head of every man is God, and the head of every woman is a man. So it's always going to put that hierarchy of God, Christ, man, then woman, then children, and they're never going to want to put a woman in charge of them. So
y'all will never see a woman in charge in any Middle Eastern country.
And then you got to deal with the fact of in areas like Texas and California in particular, I can speak of, there's a big black and brown divide. And which is weird to me because I didn't grow up with it. I grew up where black and brown are far more united than they are out here on the West Coast. Far more united. They look like, yo, he messing with us. He messing with me too.
So East Coast black and brown works for everybody except, unfortunately, Mexicans.
They not like that out here. Over here, they on some, nah, we need to be down for brown and screw them over there. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, we need to get rid of whatever these little minor beefs are and look at who's really giving us the headache and problem. And they not trying to hear that. And so Kamala, perceived to be a black woman, is already a no for a lot of those people who think that way. And then pairing woman, black woman, and yeah, it's a no.
So one thing, Chris H., you better go look at a Jamaican restaurant menu right now. Talking about they don't make curry. They love making curry. Second, yes, Saul, jerk chicken is owned by Caribbeans or Jamaicans. You goddamn right. Sorry, I had to say that. And then Chamonique, I know So I definitely agree with Chamonix because they did vote. They voted for that spiritual lady that came on that bitch and staged herself. I watched when they, I don't, what do y'all call it, Chamonix? I don't know if it's indoctrinate or her, you know what I'm saying, whatever day, her inauguration day, but when they started busting her down with the sage, y'all, I said, oh shit.
Well, this
Oh,
is
y'all
what.
done fucked up and y'all fucking elected a Bruja. Oh my God.
Well,
Y'all
this is
gonna
what.
have 12 years of amazing luck or some wild shit.
Well, Chamonix and Mariana, they both said this, and this is what I'll say. They're fine with voting for a woman that they feel is a Mexican woman. Not a black woman. Let her, in fact, perfect example. Let it be an Afro Latino who's running for president of Mexico. I bet you they won't win.
And honestly, I'm just throwing my 2 cents with this one. Chamonix, as black people usually do. I'm trying to tell you that little eighth portion, it can only go so far if you have some other criteria. And this is gonna sound so frivolous, but I'm so serious. Okay, if Kamala's daddy was some way, shape, form, or fashion a descendant of slavery in the United States, we might have felt a little. We might have had our heartstrings tugged a little bit. If her daddy was African American, she might have got us with the okie doke. Okay, but her daddy was Jamaican, right?
Yep.
We not fucking with that because like you ain't over here. You feel me? Y'all had y'all shit over there, but you won't over here though. You know what I'm saying? You a destination spot.
Strong. That FBA division is way too strong right now, and I feel like so she got hurt in the Latino community, and she got hurt in the black community, and you cannot afford to be hurt in both of those communities and win.
Yeah, cause check out, you know, they tried it with Obama with that birth certificate shit when they was like, "Where your daddy from?" and he was like, "Gotcha, bitch." Gotcha. And so they tested it out with that one. They was like, let's see how these motherfuckers act if he from here." They did Hawaii. It was an island, but it was still part of the 50 states. We was like, we can fuck with it. It's cool. We're gonna let it slide. But you talking about this girl and she low-key an immigrant? No.
Yeah.
No.
What I was saying, Chamonix, yeah, Afro Latinos in Mexico might be less than 2%. But and regardless if it was 2% or 50%, if one was running for president of Mexico, they will not win. I strongly, vehemently believe that. I do not believe they'd have a chance of winning. Because I know it's not all, but quiet is kept. There is an anti-black sentiment in that country. Period. It is. And I do not believe, even if it's not like a hatred, it might even what I call Diet Coke racism. You don't quite hate them, but at the same time, you don't really feel like they're your people. You don't really feel like they share your views or that they have, you know what I'm saying? There's still this division that's not looked at. I mean, and that's the reason why I feel of the whole entire country, there's no way.
It was Tariq Nasheed. Did y'all hear that Joe Biden, yeah, Sleepy Joe got prostate cancer?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Okay, I didn't know. So yeah, I just read that. Golly, what's next in his story?
Yeah,
I thought he was gonna say he had Alzheimer's.
I mean, I could be wrong, Chamonix, but that's honestly what I believe. I believe the sentiment which I see coming in, especially in a lot of the recent Mexican Americans coming into this country, so-called undocumented or whatever, where a lot of this, like I was talking about Kansas City, where I grew up, Black and brown was always very strongly united. And where we started seeing more of this racism come in has been new immigrants coming in from Mexico. So that's the reason why I say I believe that it wouldn't just be about the policies. I think that there's an undercurrent of racism in that country still that would still look at them as other.
God, Chris, Jesus.
her ahead. And I think that with the whole Jewish thing, yeah, there was some of that, but also there's a whole lot of money and backing that's going to help get her in the office for all the pushback. Plus, speaking on this also, I feel like more Mexicans in particular, they feel more favorable towards a white person than a black person. And you see a lot of them, even here in LA, where on the census, they put themselves as white. Even though if you grew up where I grew up, a white person getting your paperwork and be like, no, the fuck, you're not white. Yeah, mark that shit out and change it. But here, plenty of them will put that they're white. And or think about how many of them will be like, oh no, I'm actually a Spaniard. And they're trying to have that proximity to whiteness more. That's the reason why I feel like a shine bond would definitely have a better chance than having Afro-Latina trying to be president of Mexico.
You're right, Brew Bones. Is that Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Yeah, you goddamn right, Liz. Thank you. Claudia is, bro. Claudia is amazing. I fuck with her. As soon as I saw, because I knew she was up for like election, but I ain't really, read into her too tough until after I saw her inauguration. I'm trying to tell you, from one Bruja to another, I watched her fucking inauguration. And it was so good that I had to go, who the fuck is her? So when I started reading about Claudia and I started seeing that she was low-key like how Mother Teresa should have been, but she got like a little whatever Blanco, what's her name? Such and such Blanco. You know what I'm saying? The Queen Pin of Miami. She had that type of vibe on her. So I was like, damn, why? She was out here reading the prisoners and shit. Doing gangster shit. I hope she continues to be good. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, but going back to what Liz was saying though, yes, we're not talking about like Afro-Latinos as far as like, yes, there's African indigenous all throughout Latin America, but I feel like Mexico in particular kind of has some different ways that they view this whole topic than other Afro-Latinos. Whereas I feel you get any people who are more Tainos, who are Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, they have a different viewpoint on the black and brown dynamic than Mexico, Guatemala, Argentina. All those areas got different ways, and each different Latin country has a different viewpoint on how they view race. I think it does make a difference. Yeah,
she's Dominican. I thought she was just Jewish and Mexican.
Yeah, she's just Jewish and Mexican, as far as I know.
Somebody said Claudia de la Cruz is Dominican.
No, Claudia de la Cruz.
Oh, nah, I was talking about Griselda. Thank you, Chris. I was doing Griselda. She's Mexican though, right? Is Griselda Mexican?
No.
Griselda wasn't Mexican? What was she?
Colombian.
She was Colombian?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Sorry, I thought she was in charge because I thought the Mexican cartel broke off from what she was doing in Miami.
No, she fled from she wasn't from Medellin, I don't think. But yeah, she's definitely Colombian.
Damn. Well, I thought that's how I think Claudia was. I thought she was Colombian. My bad.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, like for instance, if you get on the, I won't keep going hashing out the whole which country has the issues more and more. And I don't, and when I say this, I'm not saying all, I'm not saying everybody there has this viewpoint. I'm saying, but it is there. Now, the Puerto Ricans versus Mexico thing is a whole different another ball of wax. It's a whole different other thing. And I think it just boils down to cultural differences. And just like, for instance, like Puerto Ricans, Dominicans go back and forth, but that's more like a brother to brother kind of beef where it's not a real beef, more of a competition. And so we kind of go back and forth with each other, but it's not like an actual hatred of the other. But I think that there is this kind of a bump in the heads between Puerto Ricans and Mexicans, definitely. but also look at it like this: you got Central American, you got the Caribbean, and then you got South America, and all three have different cultural things going on. And so I think that makes a difference.
Chris, you ain't relying. I don't even think Jesus got enough time on his hands to be wanting to come like repeat shit. You know, you don't see this motherfucker repeating the crucifixion. I don't think he ain't gonna come help us 2 or 3 times.
Well, he's not coming. Well, if you read the return is not supposed to be just coming to give high fives and hugs. So he like, I done tried to help you the nice way. Now I'm gonna come help you a whole nother way. And I don't know if you're ready for this help. It's called the toughest of love that you can get. So I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna get a whole bunch of spiritualists and voodooists together, and I'm gonna be like, hey, what do you think our greater like awakening is? Like, what do you think it is? Like, do you think there's gonna be a meteor that comes and just blows up the earth or some shit? Like, I need to ask what other spiritualists think. Because that's one thing I've never heard talked about in the spiritual community. Is like we don't have no like big great awakening or like second coming type like world's gonna explode, Jesus comes back. You know what I'm saying? He comes and picks people off left and right. People get sucked up in the sky type thing. No, I've never heard a single witch or anybody say like that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't really know. Well, also you gotta remember there's different kind of communities. I mean, I guess you got like whatever kind of like witches within, you know, the
Different
Haitian
covens. Yes, you're right. I got to get a little bit of everything. I'm gonna have to get everything sprinkled one day. That'll be maybe that'll be my first good podcast when I'm bored and ain't got shit to do. Is I just get a whole bunch of bitches online and be like, "What do you think the end of the world looks like?"
I almost have your thumbnail ready. I'm working
take your time. We should do a reveal next week. I'll be on time and I'll have to get my Wi-Fi fixed. They out here hitting me with the Marcus today.
I'm working on a thumbnail for Teal, so that she'll be able to, you know, it'll be set up so whenever Teal wants to hop on and just kind of do a little segment on her own, if she got something that she just want to talk about and I can't hop on with her, she'll have that, so she'll be able to set that up on her own, and that's what we'll debut next week.
Oh shit. Soul in this bitch talking all the good shit. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. I'm leaving all them alone right now because I'm like,
oh Lord, so that's not this type of episode. You got to get on my show with that type of shit. I'm okay with getting my shit took down. We can't get the whole operation took down. We can't get the Carter taken out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We will. That's something that once we get the Rumble stuff set up, which y'all need to hop on Teal. That's Teal's fault.
It's me. Me and Steve, we were so fucking busy, but I'm supposed to hop on first thing in the morning tomorrow, and then right between his show and then the next show, he's gonna teach me how to use this damn Rumble. I'm just having a hard time without my laptop. I need to figure it out on my phone.
Yeah, once we get that going.
Sorry, y'all.
Once we get that going, then we will. Once we get that going, then we'll set that up, and then we'll be able to like cut the stream on. Oh, we lost Till. We'll be able to cut the stream on YouTube and then go to Rumble, and then we can talk freely however we want. But that's pretty much all I have. I need to wrap this show because I need to get out of here. I told myself I was gonna give myself a set time, and I already, of course, went past that time. But yeah, I do got to finish and wrap. If Teal hops back in here before I close, then I'll let her get a few closing words. But I do got to wrap up. Chris H says, Marcus, you need a link tree to consolidate all your social media. I'll do it eventually. I got a couple of things that I've just been working on, but if people know me, I'll just be honest. I do procrastinate. I don't always get around to things right away, but I do get around to them. And I will definitely work on getting a link tree set up. Eventually, I want to do like a bumper sticker that will have my link tree and have like a QR code that'll send people to the page. That's something that I want to do. So hopefully I'll get that done and then get bumper stickers put together. And then, I don't know, probably just charge basically for postage and basically the cost for me making them, probably be like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. It probably won't be much, like $5 or something. I don't know. We'll figure out. I don't know how much that stuff costs, but when I figure it out, basically I'll just be charging enough to get them made and ship them. But that said, that is all I got. Again, I guess Teal had the issues that I've had as far as the internet and stuff, but that's all I got. I appreciate all of y'all for swinging through. Again, if y'all can, please give me a like for the show, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you have it on your heart, share the stream, or share it with people that you know. Let them know about the show. If they're interested in the conversation and stuff we talk about, hopefully they'll come and hop in the chat and join this discussion. And that's all I got. So, oh yeah, again, I'll plug this again. Go check out Sinners if you haven't seen it. If you have the ability to watch it in 70 millimeter IMAX, go and do that, please. That said, this has been the Political Matrix. I'm your host, Marcus. I can't even talk right now. My apologies. Marcus Young Morpheus Cage, and this is Political Matrix. Y'all have a good one and have a great week. Much love to everybody. Thanks.
There is discrimination in this world, and slavery and slaughter and starvation. Governments repress their people. Millions are trapped in poverty, while the nation grows rich, and wealth is lavished on armaments everywhere. These are differing evils, but they are the common works of man. They reflect the imperfection of human justice, the inadequacy of human compassion, our lack of sensibility towards the suffering of our fellows. But we can perhaps remember, even if only for a time, those who live with us are our brothers, that they share with us the same short moment of life, that they seek as we do, nothing but the chance to live out their lives in purpose and happiness, winning what satisfaction and fulfillment they can.